Warning: this program may contain explicit language that may be considered offensive or inappropriate to children and some adults.
The following content is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to Talk It Out, where we talk it out. My name is Duryea Rashad, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It is Thursday, my favorite time of the week. If you've never been to Talk It Out is a space where people of opposing views can get together and have a healthy and productive dialogue in a respectful way, keeping in mind that it's not always about proving who's right and who's wrong. Sometimes it's simply about listening and being heard. Now, before we get into things, I want to remind you, if you're watching us on YouTube, or even if you're not, go ahead and head over to our YouTube channel and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Give us a like, let us know how we're doing with some comments, and also click that notification bell so that you are notified whenever we are live or put new content on the net. Also, I want you to take this opportunity to go ahead and share this video, okay? Take this video, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Make sure that we grow the Talk It Out family. So just click that little share button in the side and then share it to your page or share it on your Instagram. Let everybody know that we're starting the conversation right now. All right. So now, without any further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce our panelists. First up to the panel is returning panelist. Oh, yes, actually, reminder. If you'd like to be a panelist, make sure you hit us up at admin@wonellymedia.com. But if you're my friend on Facebook, just send me a message and we will get you on a panel. We have some great topics coming up soon. All right. So first, returning to the panel is a whiskey lover, music connoisseur, a Southern gentleman, and Netflix enthusiast. Please welcome back to the panel, Mr. Tristan Daniels.
Hi.
What's up, Tristan?
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I looked at one of the topics you said we were going to discuss, and I feel like
we might not get to all of them. Don't worry about it. That's why I don't like to let y'all know ahead of time because we don't get there.
I know we're going to get to this one because I feel like you feel deeply about this one.
I feel deeply about everything we talk about on Talk It Out. So,
true,
you know.
True.
If you'd like to hit up Mr. Tristan Daniels, you can hit him up on Instagram and Twitter at Tristan Daniels. TristanDaniels. All right, next returning to the panel is Mom, social media manager, geeking out panelist extraordinaire. Please welcome Miss Ricky Z to the panel. Hey, Ricky.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, just here so I don't get fined. That's all.
Whatever. Look.
If folks show up, my face.
Listen. Look, but it works out, though, because we love seeing your face. Ricky, you can find her on Geeking Out, which is every other Monday. We just had an episode this past Monday, which was, what did we talk about? Action movies.
No, action films, yeah.
Action films, yes. You can also hit her up on her Instagram at Ricky_Z, RICKEY_Z. Her Twitter @_RickyZ. And her Cash App is $RickyZW. Ricky spelled with an EY. All right.
The single mom life. Hey.
Single mom life. Next on the panel, returning panelists, we have Mr. Jim Farr. We don't have a thing for Jim. Oh.
Remember, he don't want a thing.
That's right. Right. Sorry. This is just a guy named Jim.
I forgot. I didn't realize he was going to be on. That's why.
We literally played musical chairs with panelists today. But, it is what it is.
Dewey Ogle sucks. That's all you need to know.
I don't even know who Dewey Ogle is, but...
He's an asshole.
And apparently he sucks, so... All right. Our final returning panelist for this evening is Mr. Justin Lawrence, who's been quite the regular around these parts these past few weeks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Justin Lawrence helps run a podcast called Table Talk, and you can find it on the Unity Experiment Facebook page at facebook.com/experience the Unity. The Unity Experiment is a co-op of artists, entertainers, and creators to share their content with the world in order to help build unity. If you are an artist, entertainer, or creator, head over to the Facebook page, share your content, and experience the unity. It's a great place to be and to share in love and art and passion. It's awesome. All right, so now we have some new panelists that I'd like to introduce. First up, new to the panel, is a great friend of mine from college, probably one of the sweetest people I've ever met. This is Samantha Zaborowski. Samantha went to school to get better at acting. Great actress. She runs a beer bar and has the best husband, son, and cat. They dream of opening their own theater bar restaurant one day at Sammy Joe 913. Yeah, there was a point in time where I was sleeping on her husband's couch.
Same.
I'm so glad you're here, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
Awesome. Also, our next returning panelist, actually, I forgot to introduce a returning panelist of ours. I don't know if they're ready backstage. They just popped in. They in the car. But I'm going to introduce her anyway. Kovia is a mother of two and a stylist that specializes in natural hair and braids. You can find her on Instagram at Covy Styles, Covistyles. And if you remember, not too long ago, she actually did a full set of braids while we were filming. So,
vibe.
Yes.
Hey, Kovia, how you doing?
Hey.
She just got off work. She's like, I'm going to do the show, but I'm going to be coming in right at 8, so.
Can you hear me?
We hear you fine. Yep, we hear you great.
Oh, great. Are we in there?
Excellent. So you drive, and then we'll introduce this last panelist, okay?
Okay.
So our next panelist and final panelist rounding out our panel is Mr. Alex Kirsch. Kirsch? I'm going to ask him. Kirsch. I said it right the first time. Alex Kirsch is the host of the podcast Depth of Perspective, where the truth has no bias. His podcast focuses on social issues in the U.S. and abroad and is an interview-based podcast. New episodes are every couple of weeks. You can hit him up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. His Instagram is VAKirschProj, which is KIRSCHPROJ. His TikTok is at N7Smoke27. Podcast Depth of Perspective, where the truth has no bias. All right, this is our panel. I'm so happy to have you here. How you doing, Alex?
Great to be here. Always got to save the best for last, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's what it is? Okay. We'll go with that. All right.
Sorry.
So, no, you're good. So, all right. So before we head into our current events for this evening, of course, as always, we're going to pause for about a 60-second ad break.
Hey everybody, my name's Chris.
I'm Duryea.
I'm Ricky Z.
Justin.
And Julian.
Have you heard about Anchor.fm? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. First off, it's free.
Oh, I love free, especially when we're talking creation tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone and computer.
And Anchor will actually distribute your podcast for you. So as soon as you're finished recording, you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms.
And you can make money off of your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's basically a one-stop shop for everything you need. So head on over to Anchor.fm and download the mobile app now. And make sure you come back and geek out with us. Those were ads for Geeking Out, which is the second or a sister podcast of Talk It Out, where we talk about all kind of geek culture, fun stuff. You'll see me, you'll see Ricky, you'll see Chris and Julian, and we also have a rotating fifth chair. Usually this is where Mo would say something about not having been on the show yet, but we're going to get her on there soon. That's every other Monday at 8 on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Twitch is at Daygamer. Also, the other ad was for our 24-hour live stream and fundraiser, Nelly's first 24-hour fun stream, live stream, which will take place on Wednesday, March 3rd from midnight to 11:59. You'll see some of the faces you see here. We have all kinds of different events lined up, including some cooking, some live shit talking, some art talking, we're actually having an LGBTQ panel. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be expressive. I can't wait to see y'all there. All right. So I'm pulling out the phone, so you know what that means. That means it's time for current events. All right. So we had a lot of stuff, but actually before we go into current events, I low-key have a rant. So just ride with me for this little bit.
Great.
I know. And I usually don't use this to rant and to get on the soapbox, but I've been holding this in all week. Not even all week, but just on and off. And then yesterday something happened. So somebody posted, I'm sorry, before I go into that, a woman, transgender woman named Alexis Braxton was murdered brutally. They found her in her apartment because she had gone missing. Her family couldn't find her. They contacted police. They found her apartment brutally murdered. And it got, this is the 6th violent trans death that's happened already this year, and it's only February. And last year there were 44 of these deaths, and last year was the highest number of these deaths that they have recorded since they started making a point to document the number of these deaths. So the reason I bring all that up is because a Facebook friend of mine posted and they very often post these, what I consider anti-trans posts, but they're not necessarily overtly hateful. So they're not outright saying hateful things, but they're questioning trans choices. So a woman or a trans man, or something happened where they're changing some of the verbiage around how they deal with trans men. And they're changing the term, well, not even changing the term. I guess medical officials are going to adopt the term in cases of trans men of chest feeding, right? And this somehow enraged this woman enough so that they had to post this on the internet, right? Which frustrated me because these two stories came out in the same day, yet this is the one this person posted. And so when I questioned, yes. So when I questioned them about it, and my issue is this, I was like, well, seeing as how men and women both have chest and breasts, because they both have mammary glands, so men and women both have breasts, and they both have pectoral muscles, so they both have chest. If you're talking about the actual ability to lactate, if a trans man is able to lactate, which they are, under my understanding, and they want to call it chest feeding, how does that affect you? Does it stop you from calling it breastfeeding and breastfeeding your child? No. So I feel like what happens a lot of the times is people feel like if they don't outwardly or overtly contribute to hate culture, and that's what I call it, then they feel like they're not being hateful or violent because they're not out there actually killing trans people. But it's like this. If you are not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. If you support rape culture, just because you don't go out and rape somebody doesn't mean you're not culpable for your part in that. If you support a certain attitude toward women, catcalling, all that kind of stuff, that supports that culture that makes some man think that it's okay to go out and rape some woman. So you're not maybe just as guilty, but you're definitely part of that cycle. If you're out there, and I feel like it's part of this narrative to characterize trans people and LGBTQ people as somehow predatory. But when you look at the numbers, the predatory actions aren't really happening by trans people. They're happening generally by cis heterosexual men. So two trans people, and even other situations. So to me, it's like, like the argument that I've heard people make is like, well, what happens if my daughter's in a bathroom? And I'm like, well, generally, if you look at statistics, when assaults happen, they're perpetrated by people that the victim knows. So the likelihood of some trans person just randomly attacking your daughter, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you have a better chance of protecting your daughter by looking at the people around you than the people randomly in your bathroom. It's just part of that narrative to create this anger towards trans people that leads to them being murdered. And what's worse is, if you look at it, a lot of their murders aren't being investigated. So I look at these people, and some of these people are the same people who sit up here and talk about Black Lives Matter. And when they hear people say all lives matter, the issue is okay, all lives matter. No, all lives don't matter until Black lives matter. Well, Black lives don't matter until Black trans lives matter, boo. So to me, I get frustrated when I see these people being like, well, I didn't say anything bad about trans people. I just think and I'm just like, but that is saying something about trans people, because you open that door for someone else to be like, oh yeah, they're horrible people, and that justifies my hating them, which is why a lot of these trans people, and they're not getting killed in these situations that people talk about. This is what I've heard. Oh, they're getting killed because they're not telling people the truth about their sexuality. A lot of these people are getting killed walking down the fucking street. Like, I don't have to tell you my sexuality or my gender identity walking down the street. That's my business. And now if you can tell that I'm trans or whatever, that's fine. Leave me the fuck alone. If you don't want to deal with me, don't deal with me. Take your children up, whatever it is. But that doesn't give you the right to do. And so I just had to say that because I'm so sick and tired of people, especially people who claim a certain motherfucking religion, justifying their hate towards people and pretending like their hate doesn't have violent physical consequences. Your words absolutely are the seeds of death, whether you want to buy that or not. You want to act like just because you say things and you raise these questions that you're not leading to direct harm to people. That's bullshit. You absolutely are. If you don't agree with somebody's lifestyle, you don't have to speak on it. Now, if someone is impeding on your happiness and such, totally different situation. But until trans people are going around and literally trying to convert you, because all I've seen is generally straight people trying to make trans people not be trans. I rarely see trans people going around trying to force you to identify as a gender other than the one you want to identify as. So I've said that. I wanted to say that. And if there's anybody who wants to say anything to that, feel free. But I want to say rest easily and thoughts and prayers to Alexis Braxton. And, that's so unfortunate. And I hope that the police give this incident the same attention that they would give any other incident, especially if it was a cis heterosexual white woman. Just throwing it out there. Tristan?
Oh, I agree. The only thing I was going to say is I just wanted to piggyback on something you said about oftentimes people assume the assumption is made when a trans person is killed that, well, they didn't tell the guy who they were dealing with that they were trans. And I just want to let everyone know that's a big old myth. Like you can legitimately, that's a big old myth. And it's really rooted in misogyny, or this idea that a man would never choose a trans woman over a real woman. No, boo. Your man's knew. Your man's knew what he was getting into. Think about it. Why would somebody who's trans, who knows that trans people are being killed at an alarming rate
by straight men,
specifically black trans people, why would they then put themselves in a situation where they could risk not necessarily even getting murdered, but just getting beaten, hurt, whatever the case may be? If you go on any kind of hookup app, you will see trans people, at least from what I've seen and what I know, they tell people, because once you get into the things of the things, you're going to figure out pretty soon that you know that person is trans. Like it's not like it's something you can really hide. Even if you're passable, anatomically speaking, there are differences. I hope I'm not sound.
But it's even deeper than just trans. Like, I think it also goes to the idea of this. Like, I think a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around the fact that someone could be attracted to more than one gender. I think people have a very hard time wrapping their mind around that. Like, that's why bisexuality, especially in the black community, especially male bisexuality, is so often questioned. It's like, at the end of the day, like, we're human beings. Like, I like that jawline you got, and I like that shape around that waist. Okay, like we're generally like, I'm not saying we're similar, but it doesn't like there's male and female, there's masculine and feminine energies around us all the time. Whether we're attracted to them physically, energy wise, it doesn't surprise me that you could find attraction across it's a spectrum. So once you accept the fact that people can be attracted to more than just one thing, which I don't know, even if you are just only attracted to women, I really have never met anyone who's only been attracted to one type of woman or one type of man. Like it doesn't make sense to me that you're only into like one exact thing. So people, once they let go of that idea, it won't be so far-fetched that maybe there are people out there who actually like trans people. And not even actually, there's a plenty of people out there who are doing that. And so for me, I'm just saying, like, if you decide to get on the internet and question a lifestyle, right? Especially a lifestyle that is marginalized and subjected to high amounts of violence, you are a part of the problem. And you are contributing to that violence and that culture of violence toward those people. And that's just what I said. I said what I said, and I mean what I said, period.
So
Come look at the graphic.
So one of the things that I've noticed is that when it comes down to society, especially American society in general, is, we tend to be afraid of stuff that we do not understand. And that's
Right.
like historically accurate. I mean, we can even go back as far as the Salem witch trials. People were strung up simply because they were accused of being witches, even though that wasn't even close to the case. And when it comes down to the whole issue of like the trans people are afraid of like trans people going to the bathrooms. They've already been doing it. It's just now more magnified. You just never knew the difference until now. Now, there are some cases where people, or a guy dressed up in a girl's costume or in a girl's dress, and then he was like taking pictures of women. Those are rare occasions right there. You've got
Those
people
aren't
out
trans
there.
people.
Those aren't trans people either.
They're not. That's my point. But you got people like the Jessica Yaneve. I'm pretty sure people know that story, right? Where Jessica Yaneve took a selfie of herself with children passing by. Those are rare occasions right there. And they don't make up the entire community of trans people.
Nowhere near the entire community.
Nowhere near the entire. And that's what people don't understand. But once again, it goes back into people are afraid of what they do not understand completely. I don't even understand it completely. And as a matter of fact, it was kind of interesting you brought that point, Duryea, about the whole the glands that even men have it. I actually didn't know that until it came to my attention sometime last year. I didn't know about that, actually. And at first, it took me a time to, I actually had to look it up on Google, and it's verified.
See, the reason I know about that is because in science class, our science teacher, and I think I was in like 8th grade or something, was like, well, men can get breast cancer. And I was like, what? Yeah. Well, breast cancer is cancer in the mammary glands, and men have mammary glands. So we can't lactate. But we absolutely have breasts. So, and I'm not trying to say that we are, and I'm not trying to blur any lines. What I'm saying is like, but physically, like we both have the same muscles. Women's muscles are just, the pectoral muscles just aren't as like defined or whatever they want to say. But it to me, it's mincing words. It's like when you want to talk about trans issues, and the first thing out of your mouth isn't how disproportionately they are murdered and uninvestigated. I have an issue with that. If the first thing you want to talk about is sports and goddamn bathrooms and goddamn and terminology, most of that terminology is literally just to be respectful.
Yeah, and it's amazing because like, if a trans person is murdered, it's not labeled as a hate crime. It's just labeled just like as a murder, which I think is something that needs to be brought to light more often.
But we've talked about hate crimes and the criteria that it requires for something.
It's very different. It's a hate crimes are a extremely high bar. Like if you are if you're not yelling like faggot when you kill somebody or something of that nature, it's not really considered a hate crime.
Yeah.
I do want to hear, and now I will say that this person who put this on the internet was a woman. So I want to hear I would like to give the women an opportunity, if they want to speak on the issue. If you have any thoughts about anything that I've said or anything about the terminology or anything you want to say.
I think you hit the nail when you said, even if you're not the one going out there murdering trans people, when you use language like that, the type of person that is murdering trans people just uses you as see, this person gets it. This person gets that I'm right and that, trans people are weird. That's all that is. To me, it's just as harmful, because what needs to happen is the people that are murdering trans people don't need any kind of validation from anybody or anything or anywhere. Like, I don't know. I think you hit it pretty good there, Duryea.
Absolutely. I think also the thing is like people are like real pissy about terminology and like understanding what different things mean or like these terms. So like something I saw on Twitter yesterday was like somebody was confused about what cisgendered mean and confused it with sexuality and was like, why do we need to say cisgender? Why can't we just say someone straight? And I'm like, well, that's not what that means. You know, there's a reason why we have these terms. It's for, show respect and, like, understanding, like, the intersectionality of all these different areas that we have in our lives. So, like, quit being a jerk. If they call it chest feeding, let them call it chest feeding. That does not affect you. It doesn't put any less respect on nursing or breastfeeding. It's just another term. Make sure that someone's comfortable. I don't see.
But the term is actually kind of more accurate, because if someone is a trans man, it would it makes more logical sense to me to call it chest feeding, because then you're catching trans men and women as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with me, so I'm not even going to stress about it. So there's no point in me worrying about it, honestly.
That's one thing about it.
That's like some real turf stuff right there. That's some J.K. Rowling's turf stuff right there. I don't need that.
I'm just like, what's that got to do with me, honestly?
That's my thing about it. I'm like, look, it's not like there was a law imposed that said you can't, like, it's not like something is impeding you from mothering. And that's why I got frustrated. I'm like, you post this, but this whole thing happening does not at all impede on you mothering the way you want to mother to your children.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Sure. But realize that at the beginning of the show, Nelly Media is not responsible for the comments or thoughts and opinions of Tristan Daniels. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm saying this is not my opinion. I just kind of like to always play devil's advocate and kind of put my head where other people are. I think sometimes.
I bet you do.
Okay. I think sometimes, especially when it comes to marginalized groups like Black people or women, there is this fear or this thing where they feel like they're marginal. Like, it's almost as if I'm already marginalized and you're trying to marginalize me even more by breastfeeding is my thing. As a woman, that's my thing. And you want to take that thing away from me. I think that's maybe.
I will agree, because I've heard a Black woman say that. And I'm not a Black woman. And I'm not trying to speak for Black women. I'm just repeating. I heard her say that, I think the term she used was erasure. Mm-hmm. Woman erasure or female erasure. Exactly. As if in order to make space for trans people, we are somehow erasing women. And I'm not going to even negate, like, because I'm not even going to challenge that statement, because I feel like, if that's how that person feels, I can't tell that person that that's not how they feel. You know what I'm saying?
But trans women are women.
But they don't.
I get that they don't think the other side doesn't feel that way. Mm-hmm. But in order to, like, feminism has to include trans people. It's going to have to include trans women for us to get free here. So, like,
but in this particular situation, we're not talking about.
Wait, hold up. Let Sam get into
this. Just as someone who's breastfed, I don't feel like I'm being erased or anybody's taking anything away from me. I feel like I'm giving somebody else something with chest feeding, right? It's like nobody's taking it from me. We're giving it to them, finally.
That's okay.
Right.
I think one thing we're forgetting is that there's a whole swath of people that think if somebody else says something, they think they're saying it directly to them.
Yes.
Cynicism is rotted these brains of these people. Ain't nothing we gonna say is gonna get through them. Not to say we shouldn't say every chance we get, but you can throw a rock at a rock, but this thing ain't breaking.
And a real part of the reason that I wanted to bring this up is because as a result of all this, I was absolutely called a blasphemer. I literally never mentioned God one time. All I'm doing is basically saying, well, is it okay for us to make trans people not feel like they're gonna die just because they are existing as themselves? Because that's really what it is. Like, let's not mince words. Let's not try to
That's like the bare minimum here.
Right. Let's not try to minimize what's going on. It's like these things are happening because there's a real reason for them to be afraid. Like when somebody said to me the whole thing about people and wanting to go to their bathrooms and why, and I'm like, why do you think a trans woman would actually want to go to the bathroom of their identified gender? Because if they went into the bathroom of the gender that they did not identify as, what do you think that experience is going to be like for them? Like, what do you think?
But who are these people watching folks in the back? Like, I'm not going to, serious.
Nobody.
I don't watch other people in the bathroom.
It's because, like, anytime somebody tries to talk to me in the bathroom, it's like, whoa, dude, you're kind of encroaching on my space here, okay? But I don't know if y'all are familiar with Blair White, but she actually, in California, went into a bathroom because, she's a transgender woman, but went into a men's bathroom, and she actually got kicked out of the establishment she was in because she clearly doesn't look like a man, kind
of as a woman because she's a trans woman. Right.
And I know she's not exactly the most popular person because she's more right-leaning, but, the point still remains, she's one of those people that has gone into the women's bathroom and nobody says a thing because she clearly looks like a woman, so obviously... And they're making this seem like everybody every trans person that's going into the bathroom is doing it for a sinister reason. No, they're
going to use the bathroom.
They want to use the bathroom. It's really not hard to figure out.
Look,
honestly.
I got to use the bathroom. Let me go use the bathroom.
Seriously, I think just a little bit of common sense can come into play, and it's just and what it comes down to is like, I'm not really trying to be all philosophical here, but there's a reason why we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we need to do a little bit more listening and kind of, I'm educating myself more and more because, like, I used to be that same person a long time ago where I had that same feeling, but that's just because I didn't know any better. And once again, it goes into the fear of the unknown, but I'm willing to admit that I was wrong about that, but the more I've learned, the more I've understood that this isn't a systemic problem. This isn't a problem that we really need to focus all of our attention upon.
Right.
But if you want to talk about like the sports or stuff like that, that's a completely separate issue. But we're not focusing on that right now. So
the thing about the sports, though, the reason I have an issue with the sports conversation is because, like, to me, I'm like, okay, that's a conversation that could be had, sure. Yeah. But the problem is how it's weaponized. It is absolutely a conversation that is a conversation because I'm like, that doesn't have a clear answer. So that's a conversation. But the problem is that but people bring it up as a means to then say trans people don't deserve a space. Trans people don't deserve to exist. Trans people don't deserve to have rights. We don't need to be clearing out space for them because they're going to play sports against these girls. And I'm just like, that is the issue I have with it. Like, you conflate the two things. It's like, that to me, talking about how their trans women's fit into sports, that's something that we need to be concerned with after we figure out how to make sure that they're safe and how to make sure that they're able to, like, exist
and that's
without being... And to where if something does happen to a trans person, that it is met with the same energy as if something happened to a cis white woman. So that's my thing.
Don't their lives matter too? Everyone likes it because when it comes down to the term all lives matter, right? I always ask people when they say stuff like that, when they say all lives matter in the event of, like, let's say, for example, a person of color is killed on the street and people saying Black Lives Matter, they say, no, all lives matter. It's like, let me ask you a question. If I was to go up to a funeral for a fallen police officer and say, Blue Lives Matter, I say, no, all lives matter. How do you think I would be received at that funeral?
Oh.
Yeah. Do you think that I would be accepted as like, you know what, he's absolutely right. Guaranteed that would not happen. Anytime, like, people use the term all lives matter, you're downplaying the importance of why they're saying that Black lives do matter. And, it's that's just like what I've come to realize over like the past year or so, because... I was like, oh, well, I can't listen to that. But, I started listening a while back, and it's just like, I was like, why did I not listen before? But it's just because, once again, it just kind of going to, like, stuff that I just don't understand. So, anyway, I'm off of my soapbox now. My apologies.
Okay,
Can I just say one thing really quick? I have a solution for the bathroom issue.
Back up from the mic, Justin.
Oh, sorry. I'll turn down my mic. Hold on. So my solution for the bathroom issue, is that better?
That's better.
Okay. My solution for the bathroom issue is let's just get bouncers and put them in the bathroom and it'd be like a club.
You don't need
Loud.
no bouncers. Look, go in there, do what you got to do, and then go out. Like that's all people are doing.
Start charging admission.
Right. Anyway.
Public restroom
All right.
anyway.
So we're gonna move to our.
Really,
I just wanted to say that because that's been on my mind. There's been something else on my mind. All right. So Justin motherfucking Timberlake decided. Now I guess there was this. I saw this documentary on Hulu. And I didn't watch it, but it was like Save Britney or something like that. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it because of this. I love Britney Spears. I'm not like a Britney stan, but what I love about her, like Slave did it for me. I'm a slave for you. I was like, oh, okay. And then she came out with Toxic. I said, oh, okay, you're that chick. Got you. I love like when she moved away from this whole like, I've got pigtails. And I was like, oh, you're a person, you know? Like I really love seeing like her as a person. But I also get that like you have people like her, like Michael Jackson, like Beyonce, who have this pressure on them, right? Luckily for Beyonce, this is the difference between Beyonce, Michael, and Britney, her family. For all of Matthews having that little side baby or whatever, but what they made sure was that family was a solid fucking family. They were very solid. Mom and dad and sister. How do you be Beyonce's sister and not get jealous and love your sister like that? Like she, like don't even like. So I'm saying like their family unit was so grounded that she was able to have some sort of normalcy, right? And it wasn't like her family was. And also another thing. Everybody was making money. So mom was doing the costumes. Dad was doing the management. Sister was dancing. So they had their own funds. They weren't looking at her like, give us, right? Britney wasn't able to have that. But I digress. So apparently as a result of the documentary, apparently there was a scene where Justin was like yelling at her or something. I don't know what happened. But Justin Timberlake decided to apologize for his role with Britney Spears. Now, only thing I ever knew he did to Britney Spears was write that song about her and Ray Robinson, okay?
And that damn denim outfit.
I don't remember that.
That matching denim outfit. Okay.
I don't remember that. I blocked that one out. But anyway, so yeah, Google the outfit. So anyway, I have an issue with him apologizing to Janet Jackson, and apparently so does she, because after he apologized, not only did she not respond, her album Control re-charted at number 1, 35-year anniversary. So after he apologized, she got out and made a public statement. But the public statement wasn't at all ill. The public statement, not the hat. The public statement wasn't at all about the apology. The public statement was about Control. Janet, so I did a little digging because I got into a little spat with a friend of mine about this issue. The issue I have with it is like, let's not applaud him for apologizing, because let's be clear, this happened to her. It didn't happen to Justin Timberlake. Because, and some people want to say, well, he apologized before. No, he apologized at the Grammys that year because they said he couldn't come to the Grammys unless he apologized to CBS.
True.
Not to her. He apologized to CBS, not to her.
Because CBS aired the Super Bowl that same year, just so everyone's kind of...
So at the end of the day, his apology to her, and she made a public statement that basically said, like, there's just certain stuff you don't do to your friend. And Janet Jackson has like never had no beef. Ever. Like if there was anybody in the industry she could have had beef with, it could have been Paula Abdul, but instead of beefing, they just worked together. So Janet Jackson's not that type of person. So if she got beef with you this long and she still ain't really clocking you even after your apology, I have an issue with the response people are giving his apology. Like, no, he didn't do anything special. He did, and people are like, oh, that's how you handle cancel culture. I disagree, because I feel like this. He was privileged enough to do what he did without consequence. His career literally went on and skyrocketed. Hers crashed after that. He was lucky at like he had to apologize at this point, but it was an apology that was clearly a PR thing. It wasn't sincere, because if there was an apology wanted or warranted, especially black women have been waiting, my understanding, have been waiting for that apology from him to come, and it's almost been 20 years.
We've been dragging him for a good minute now.
Go ahead.
I just, before I say all this, I want to preface. I'll say I'm a Britney stan. Like I have Britney shirts in my closet right now. I just want to, because my opinion is a little bit unpopular. I think that something we do oftentimes, I think sometimes, not always, sometimes the mistake is we look at things that happened then through the lens of now. So let's think about who Justin Timberlake was when all this stuff was, because the Britney stuff, there's a lot more than just the video. There's some interviews he did where he said some sideways things. There's a lot of stuff. First of all, when all the Britney stuff and the Janet stuff happened, Justin Timberlake was 21 when the Britney stuff happened. I think he was 22, 23, 24 when the Janet stuff happened. I just know for me, when I was in my early 20s, I did a lot of shit, said a lot of shit about people, treated people a way that I would not do as a 32-year-old man. And I'm very happy that the world can't replay what I said, what I did, etc. So I think that Justin Timberlake, in terms of Britney, I think he was, my assumption from what, I don't think he lied. He claims that Britney cheated on him. And if that was his first love, I know how it feels to have your heart broken. And sometimes when you have your heart broken for the first time, you act out in ways that aren't healthy. Now that's magnified by the fact that he's Justin Timberlake, he's famous, and it compounds some things that how the press was dealing with Britney and all that. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying that I think sometimes we're being a little bit tough and the expectations a little bit too high. With the Janet stuff, I'm happy he apologized. I don't think it's ever too late to apologize. I also think though that Janet Jackson pulled her titty out on network television.
Janet Jackson did not pull her titty out.
Hold on, let me.
Justin Timberlake pulled Janet's titty out on network television.
Hold on, pause. If you watch the halftime show, Janet Jackson has this little thing. It's not a nipple ring. It's like a little star.
It's a star that the nipple ring goes through to keep the star in place.
Right. My assumption, this was not like a spur of the moment thing. This is a planned thing because he does it on the line where he says, "Better have you naked" by the end of this song, and then the piece comes down. So this was clearly planned. I'm not saying that he should have apologized. I think he did get off scot-free, and that's not fair. At the same time, that was Janet Jackson's halftime show. She chose Justin Timberlake to do it with her, and she agreed to that plan. Justin Timberlake then ripped.
But here's where I question you. This is the only reason I question that is the reaction. Like if it was planned, because I think something was planned. Because if you really look at her outfit, now we going all the way back in 2004. You look at her outfit. There was a leather part right here. Then underneath it, there was a lace part. Right? So, and then both of them had like leather lace. When he reached up, he pulled off the leather and the lace.
I'm just going to be,
You don't know.
No. It's not that I don't know. For me, it does not seem like, and it does not read like he ripped off her. It looks to me like in a performance, they both planned to do this together. Now, I think the issue was that we gave her so much slack and we didn't give him as much. I think
that there was. I absolutely think there was a malfunction. I think there was some sort of reveal. Clearly, that was supposed to happen right there. But I think watching her reaction when her titty was out, there was too much of a reveal. So I think something with the costume, too much of it came off, and there was a malfunction. Right. The problem is this: is that was 20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago. And then again, I think the way he handled it then was he was in his early 20s. At the time, my assumption is he had when artists get older, they get a lot more control over what their career is, what they can say, what they can do. My assumption is that when that happened, he had a team that said, "This is what we're doing." Period. Like,
okay, well,
and I don't. On a general note, I don't think Justin Timberlake is this great guy. I don't. Like, I think in real life he probably is a douche. At the same time, I think some of the criticism he gets is a little bit over.
Okay.
There's no perspective
well,
sometimes.
Something you
That's
said, Tristan, was you said it's never too late to apologize, but damn, is 2021 not too fucking late for him to be apologizing for that shit?
Well, he's 40 now.
That's how I feel about it. And he's had control over his career now for a while. So he could have been an ally. Even when Me Too started, that would have been a great time.
So
think about it though.
Wait. Let's open it up a little bit because me and you've been dominating a bit. Go ahead, Justin.
So
I just dominating a conversation.
Jim.
So I think that it's, maybe he didn't realize how he impacted Brittany's life until he had seen that documentary, and then after he had seen it, he's like, "Holy crap! I really damaged her, and I feel bad about it." He didn't necessarily need to make it public. He could have just, but I don't know if they have a way of communicating with each other that he could have called her. But yeah, but
he could have got to her. He could have passed notes. Like he could have told her. There's some way, and I think it would have been more impactful had we not even known about it. That's the thing about you have to ask yourself, like how you're doing these things. If you're really sorry, you would have made a point. And maybe he did apologize privately, and we just don't know about it. I can say that, but I agree with you. It just seems like a for show thing.
Yeah.
And it was.
Go ahead, Rakia.
It was. So I watched the documentary last night, and
Brilliant.
Even for me, as a 32-year-old, realizing the thoughts I had about Brittany back then, as a preteen and a teenager, completely different experience. So we're thinking about how Brittany has been pretty sexualized for the majority of her career, especially as a teenager, and she was already dealing with the stuff with people think she had breast implants, people talking about the way she dressed, the Rolling Stones magazine cover, and
Iconic.
and then you have this whole thing with her possibly cheating on Justin Timberlake. And then at the same time, him, taking this as an opportunity to be, real doggish about it. Not even just the video, the Cry Me a River video, but, talking to the media about whether or not they had sex or not. Things like that took a toll on her. And, her not getting the grace that we should give young people in that time. That's one thing. And, I understand, he was also young, too. And, he could have apologized to her. I would hope he had privately at some point, because he is 40 now. It's been that long. You're a grown-ass man now. I think it's time for you to understand that. But, also what I wanted to mention about, what the documentary was, what she was talking about, when they were talking about her mental breakdown and her shaving her head and all that stuff, she's possibly, I feel like she was possibly dealing with postpartum depression. That was something that I didn't even consider. I didn't
until right now. I didn't consider it
right.
either.
Right, I would never would have considered that as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, but as a mom of two who's also dealing with postpartum depression, 32, I can totally see that, and she was a young mother back then. I can totally see.
And a young mother in the public eye.
Right. And paparazzi's on you all the time, and people are scrutinizing you everywhere. I can totally see why you would have a breaking point like that. So, it was very eye-opening.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Real quick, because we're going to move on after this. Unless somebody has something that they want to say.
I think
I can't hear you, Alex. You're muted, by the way.
The apology was prompted by all of the discussion in the Twitter sphere, because when the documentary came out, that's a big part of what people were discussing. If he hadn't said I think if he had said nothing, we would have a problem. You get what I'm like?
I definitely think he needed to apologize. My point is just I
think we can't have it both ways.
Yes, you can. This is why I say you can. Here's the thing about it. What you have to make, as far as Justin, the apology was owed. If you owe somebody an apology, give it to him. Late, early, past due, give them the apology. However, what we're talking about is he's a public figure. He's an example. And we need to show people that you don't need to wait that long to apologize. So we can't say, oh, great, he apologized to everybody. Look, Justin apologized. Because what happens is, what I'm seeing is some people out there being like, look, that's how you do things. No, boo. Well, we cannot pat him. I'm sorry. We cannot pat him on the back for doing this. Now, what we can say is, for one, in my opinion, once again, you're making a moment that needs to be about her, about you. For one. For two, we do not need to sit here and congratulate you for doing the right goddamn thing.
You don't get cookies for that.
So I will say this and leave it at, and I'm not gonna say anything else about it. I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think people were like, "Woo, Justin Timberlake." I think it was oftentimes when we see famous people apologize, the apologize isn't full-throated. It's not acknowledging what you did. It's not acknowledging the ramifications of what you did. It's not honoring the gravity of what you did. I think with his apology, I think he did a good job of acknowledging what he did, the gravity of what it was, and being full and it being a full-throated, full-on, you know what? I fucked up. I fucked up real bad. I apologize. Like it was the, for me, in terms of apologies, it's the most full-throated, well-rounded apology I've seen a famous person give in a very long time. And I think what people were saying is, if you choose to apologize in the public eye, if you're gonna give it to us like this, because that half-ass shit that other people do, it don't fly. Okay,
Sam, I'm gonna let Sam have the last comment on this topic.
I haven't seen the documentary or anything, but I have been living through a pandemic, so I know about the Free Britney movement and all of that stupid stuff. But I just hate that he did it after, like, around the time of this documentary. Like, I think it's such a show, and he's such a good actor. Like, he did what he had to do to survive.
It was about him. It wasn't about her. All right. So this next thing I want to talk about is Rush Limbaugh passed yesterday.
Talks and pairs, I guess.
Hold on. Give me a second.
This one. I got no class on
what
this
y'all
one.
want from Bojangles? I'm about to go.
So let me start. I want to reiterate. Bonelli Media is not liable for nobody's comments, even its founder and artistic director. Having said that,
so are you Duryea Rashad? Or are you Duryea?
I'm D right now. Okay, I don't even know who Duryea is. I don't know him. But anyway, so I don't know much about Rush Limbaugh. I knew ish about him. I know he's like a radio dude who talks a lot of shit. That's what I knew about him before, like yesterday, right? And when I saw that he passed, I'm from the South. Don't disrespect the dead. And I have a very large love of life, right? So when he died, I was like, sad face emoji. My heart goes out to him and his family, right? That's kind of where I left it, right? Girl, not the rest of the internet. Boy, do y'all know Rest in Piss was trending yesterday?
Yep.
So I saw so much stuff coming up on my timeline. So after a while, I was like, let me click this because these folks are going ham. So I saw this thing about Trump giving him the congressional, the Medal of Freedom or something like that, which was given to Mother Teresa. And so so the documentary, it was like a little 5-minute little documentary about like all the things that Rush Limbaugh has done. I was like, how could they give this man a medal? Mm-hmm. And then I was at the gym, girl, and Fox News was on. I was disgusted. I was like, look, I'm not saying trash the man because he died, but let's not pretend that now that he's dead, he was a hero. And there are people in this country who are absolutely pretending like he was an absolute hero. Like he did things for this country. Like who's gonna like I heard somebody last night on the news say like conservatives needed this point. I'm paraphrasing. Conservatives needed this point of view. Why? The fact that conservatives latch onto the fact that they needed his point of view when all I saw from him yesterday was misogyny, Islamophobia, homophobia, racism. Because can we just say Negrophobia? Can we say that? Can we just make that? Because that's what it was. Like he's just phobic of everybody that's not white and male and straight and Christian and rich. So to me, I'm just like, you a phobic ass. Let me stop. He's dead. But. So I don't do that. But so like I got frustrated that they're alive people. That's who I was mad at. Who are really sitting here pretending that this man was some sort of American hero for hating people. publicly and without limit. I'm thinking to myself, like, how fucked up in the head do you have to be to feel like this is the type of man? And that really made me disheartened, because it's like, yo, no matter how much hard work we do to rectify, it's still motherfuckers out here who look at him as a hero. So, and that's something I feel like you can't fix. I don't feel like you can fix that kind of mentality.
After Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 motherfuckers, Rittenhouse for president was trending on Twitter.
Yep. There's a lot about, like, so when it comes down to Rush Limbaugh, okay, like everybody else, I was quiet on social media because I'm not a fan of him whatsoever. Like, as a matter of fact, when I found out that he had made fun of Michael J. Fox, saying that he was over-exaggerating his Parkinson's, I had a huge problem with that. And this is a big one right here. Anybody says, name one racist thing that he said. Well, when he called former President Obama uppity, we all know what the term uppity really means, right?
He used to call him Barack Obama the magical Negro.
Exactly.
I saw that.
And
look at Kobe. She said, "What?"
This is something you don't celebrate right here. You cannot say, "Oh, this guy's not racist whatsoever." It absolutely is 100% racist. And even if his producer is black, that doesn't mean this person isn't racist. When you use the term uppity, what's the first word that comes to mind right there? Okay,
Negro.
What
Negro?
Exactly. So when it comes down to it, okay, yes, he had a family, and I'm not about disrespecting the dead. But however, I'm not going to shed any tears over this guy either, because he's not exactly a good person. To me, I just think he was a shock jock, like people like Don Imus, but he just took it to the next freaking level right there. Like,
but getting a medal, that's what blew me.
To me, that was definitely nothing more than pity. It was pity. That's it. It's just because the fact that him and President Trump, former President Trump, were good friends. That's the reason why he got it. That's my personal opinion.
That was like right after he
the medal.
Yeah, right. It was right after he announced that he was that he had cancer.
I think it was a tarnished, because people like Mr. Rogers got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Mr. Rogers got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and that man was complete saint.
Yeah.
Yes, I love Mr. Rogers, but it's just like, really?
Y'all being real kind, and I'm about to light shit up. So
wait. Let some of the less talkative ones get in here first. Go ahead, Justin. Justin.
So really quick, one thing I want to say is, can we not give the Medal of Freedom to people that are famous? Because they really, like, yeah, a lot of people that are famous do a lot of good things, but, like, I just think that I don't know. I don't like it. I'd rather give it to people that actually do a lot in their community, and they don't have to do it for PR. They just do it out of their own free will. And then also, the thing with Rush Limbaugh, one of the memes that I had seen that was awesome. So they took a quote of his when everything happened with George Floyd. He said, "Well, I can breathe because I follow the law." And then the meme was like, "It's ironic because you died of lung cancer." I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Cancer's a terrible thing, honestly. So I just can't go with that.
But I mean, he kind of deserved it. It's karma.
I don't wish cancer upon anybody. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. You know,
I don't either.
My dad
Limbaugh deserved cancer.
Well, my dad died of cancer, so I don't wish it on anybody. It was a really horrible thing to see how my dad was. So I'm sorry. I can't go along with that. I'm sorry. So
I just feel like this. I'm not sitting here, like I said, it's not about like celebrating this man's passing.
No, I got you.
The issue that I have more is people. So, like, do you know that in order to exalt this man's legacy, you have to then support the ripple effects? Like we talk about, people need to understand this. Language is violent.
Yeah.
Language absolutely, like, you might not think because you said something that it leads to somebody dying, but absolutely, because you saying something in the presence of this child who grows up to hate gay people and kills one, you saying it's like you're just adding to the fire. So he, because of his platform, was able to spread this negativity to people who bought it. You have to get that. People really bought that stuff about there's a divisiveness in nature in this country that exists that feels like if you're not a this, you're the problem, right? In a way that needs to be like violently exterminated. So when you take stance against like women who decide not to be doormats or not to fit into a typical conservative, like not saying that there's anything wrong with women like that, but the saying that that's the only way a woman can exist, and otherwise they're a problem, they're whatever, all this stuff, saying that a person, like all these things, like talking about black people, all these things, and then these dog whistle things. I hate that. I hate it so much. And you know what pisses me off even more than that is when they have the nerve to like quote somebody and say the N-word. When I say the N-word, they don't say the actual, they say the phrase, the N-word. I'm like, go ahead and say it. Because I know you say that shit when you can. Don't flex. Because that gets me so upset. I'm sorry. Because that gets me mad. I'm like, you've shown who you are. We know who you are. You saying the N-word in place of the word you want to say doesn't do anything for us, bro. We get who you are. That doesn't save you nothing but some sponsors. Like, I just feel like in this country, we need to hold that kind of behavior. We need to call it like it is, see it like it is, and we do not need to congratulate it. So the fact that there are these politicians out there, these people out there who are saying these kind of things about them, and, you know, the legacy of Rush Limbaugh, who's going to carry this torch? Y'all need somebody to carry that torch for real? Like, the Conservative Party, the Republican Party, wants to be attached to a man who was actively spreading hate culture. And that's what y'all want?
This is how you open the show. I mean, this is what we were just talking about with that trans post. I mean, thank God. One less. Like, I know you can be sensitive about celebrating a death, but to me, it's like, you know, I don't know if I believe in, like, heaven or hell, but to me, like, hell is, like, nobody cares if you're dead, or we're, like, happy that you're dead, you know? And, like, heaven is when we actually are, like, thankful for your time you had here and you know, sad to see you go or something like that. And, like, one less, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, my God.
Rush Limbaugh, and this is why I don't care about anyone dragging that bitch motherfucker.
Oh my God! Wait, pause before you go. All right, now this is the part of the show where a disclaimer. Okay, go ahead, Tristan.
Fuck that bitch motherfucker, because the most disgusting thing he would do and did multiple times, and people don't talk about it enough, is he would play the name of AIDS victims, people who died of AIDS, and they would like play hand claps and applause.
No!
You didn't hear about that?
No!
Yeah.
And not famous people, just random
regular
gay men.
I've been looking for articles
regular
on that
gay
all
men.
day.
They would read their names and they would play like clapping and cheering sounds. So fuck him. And I don't give a fuck how his family feels. And do you know why? Because nobody thought about all those men's families.
Right.
No one thought about them. No one cared about them. Nobody cared. So at this moment in time, I didn't post about it because I don't want to bring that shit into my orbit. But I genuinely don't care if somebody is dragging him drag him, because he most definitely
keep that on screen, Wakia. I want to respond to this comment. So if you're listening, the comment is, we all celebrated Osama's death. What's the difference now? Now let me be clear. What I said was, I don't celebrate death. I never said nothing about nobody else, because I can only talk about me. I don't celebrate people's death because I'm a Southern boy and I was raised. Now in the South, we're nice nasty, okay? We don't have to fuck with you, but we're not gonna be disrespectful, right? So I don't celebrate death. When Osama died, I'm not gonna lie, like, because I had been living with and I didn't even realize it when he was killed. Ever since 9/11, I absolutely was living with a certain type of fear that I didn't even realize until after he had passed. The news came out that he died. That fear went away. I can't deny that. But that also had to do with my age, what I was being told in the news. I wasn't as well educated about everything. But I did not celebrate that man's death, because the first thing I thought, and especially very shortly after I joined the military, and something I learned very quickly was, you know, when you kill someone, you kill someone's daddy, son, brother, and all you do is create more animosity. So the first thing I thought about was his children, because I know he has children. So I didn't celebrate his death. I didn't celebrate Rush's death. Some people are, and that's their, and I understand why they feel that way. But as far as me, that's the difference. I don't celebrate nobody's death, because the first time I experienced death, it was excruciating. And I know how that is. Like the people who I've lost in my life, they weren't perfect, but they were mine. So I don't really celebrate that. But if other people feel like what Tristan just said, that's why I don't celebrate death. Because now he's celebrating all those deaths, and now everyone is feeling how they feel. So you have to think about, like, I'm definitely a believer in the energy you put out is the energy you receive. And if you spend so much time in your life, and like he said, lung cancer is not a good way. It's not a pleasant way to go. So, he didn't get to just die peacefully in his sleep. You have to think about absolutely have to think about the energy you put out in the world, whether it's passive or aggressive, whether it is casually posting something that you pretend doesn't contribute to the violence of others, intended shade, or if it is, as overt as Rush Limbaugh. You might not feel that posting something casually is the same as what he did. I feel like it's the same because it's all part of that same culture that breeds that hate. And when you contribute to something like that, you cannot be surprised if you receive the same in turn. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, it was really disrespectful. Like, it was discussing like some of the things like we were saying earlier about like him disrespecting AIDS victims. He never should have been doing that. Like when he was disrespecting Michael J. Fox like that, absolutely despicable.
That was horrible.
And I have no respect for stuff like that,
But he handled it so well, didn't he?
It's just
talking about Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox pretty much just he handled it as best as he could. I mean,
Yeah.
what can you say to something like
He's
that?
a national treasure.
He is. He's absolutely a national treasure.
is.
It's just, and it's like I said, that's how Rush Limbaugh made his living, by being a shock jock. Not that I condone it whatsoever. The same thing goes with like Don Imus and Howard Stern. They said some really deplorable, disgusting things. And like I said, not that I accept that behavior, but it's just, I when it comes down to people like Rush Limbaugh and like Osama bin Laden, is like the only real difference is like, the amount of people's deaths that are responsible as far as Osama bin Laden's concerned, but that's about all that really separates the two. It's like the ideology. One man is a devout, holy Christian person who's married, 3-4 times, I guess, but no, that's none of my business.
Cheated
But
on all his wives.
Yeah, and then you got Osama bin Laden that was like responsible for one of the most heinous attacks on the American country, on our country in general. That's like the real difference between the two. But both of them spouted dangerous rhetoric. The only difference was one rhetoric was, extremely violent, but because everything that followed through was like the American the Taliban, the war in Afghanistan. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of digressing. I'm taking away from everybody else. My apologies. So
you're good. I was flowing with you. I have one more thing I want to talk about before we do a quick recap of all the stuff. So I want to talk about this. I don't know who this woman is. I'm be honest, but it's been all over the internet, so we're gonna talk about her. Gina Carano.
Oh, Gina Carano.
Gina Carano. Now,
Mandalorian. That girl.
Now, what I found out was that she had equated being a Republican today to being a Holocaust victim. And then she was
the
asked,
Mandalorian girl.
And then she was relieved of her position on the Mandalorian. Okay. Yeah. She was politely asked to return her set pieces and her costume wardrobe and her scripts. And she was no longer employed by Disney Incorporated, which that's a check you don't want to miss out on. Let's be clear.
How you gonna mess up the Disney bag?
How you gonna mess up the Disney check? Look, I'll stop cursing for a Disney check.
I was so sad when I learned. Like, I remember when this last season started, and like Eddie told me about. He's like, "Oh, do you know she like sucks?" And I was like, "Oh no, she sucks, but she's so hot and she's so talented."
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw she was fired, I was like, "Well, at least I don't have to be torn up about it anymore when I watch." Yeah.
But here's the thing. I was telling somebody today, because somebody today was on one of the political groups I'm in. They were basically saying that it's not fair for celebrity, because I feel like this. When you are on a job, you have to remember this. I think I've said this on the show before. Most employment in this country is at will, which means at any point in time. Okay, so when you get a job, you fill out your application. That application is a contract, whether you know it or not. You've already agreed to something just by applying. right? And then once you get the job, you probably sign a whole bunch of more paperwork. And all in through there is more contractual stuff.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there are the terms of your employment, whether it comes to resignation or being terminated. Somewhere in there, you've agreed that if your boss at any point in time wants to fire you for any reason, they can. And somewhere in there, probably it's been listed, but those reasons can't be race, sexual orientation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Now, when you sign that and you do something dumb and they fire you, you have no basis to complain. Now, when you are a celebrity, you don't work you're a contractor. When you're an actor, you're a contractor. You are the CEO of Duryea, right? And I contract my services to this film studio, that theater, et cetera, et cetera. While I'm working for them, I am a representative of those companies. If I do something that is not in line with that company's brand, moral, et cetera, they absolutely have the right to terminate my employment, especially if my contract is at will. So her getting fired is not cancel culture to me. Her getting fired is you went to a network that is known for inclusion or inclusivity. Which one's the word? Both are words? Either way. Right. Known to include folks, okay? Known to be making the avenue for acceptance. And then you got on the internet. Not at home, not at a party, not in the bed, on bed pillow talk. You got on the intranet and talk shit about stuff. And then you got fired. And now people want to blame Disney for being tyrannical and suppressing the First Amendment rights. I have an issue with that.
But I guarantee.
Who said they'll go last?
I'll go last.
Okay.
I want everybody to give their points of view.
I guarantee you that Brittany, I guarantee you that Disney had written into her contract some kind of clause about social, because they knew who she was when they hired her. I promise you that they did. And they went through this with Roseanne Barr on The View. And that's why Roseanne got fired, because they had told her and warned her multiple times about the shit she would say on social media. And she kept going and she kept going and she got fired. I think the myth that's out there is that she got fired because she's a conservative. No, she didn't get fired because she was a conservative. Fucking, what's the dude's Guardian of the Galaxy guy? Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt, a whole Republican. He follows PragerU and Ben Shapiro and a whole other clusterfuck of people. But you know what? He minds his business.
He shuts the hell up.
Social media. He shuts the fuck up. He may have a private social media that I don't know about. I have no idea. But he ain't out there wilding.
And she didn't get fired for being a conservative. She got fired for being wrong.
Right. You got fired for tweeting blatantly offensive shit to Jewish people. And let's be clear, just because you found one Jewish person in Ben Shapiro to excuse your behavior doesn't mean it was anti-Semitic. You can always find one turncoat motherfucker in a group of minorities. There's always some Samboa with black people. There's always some pick-me girl with women. There's always some faggot who wants to be accepted. So don't play me with the bullshit. I'm sorry.
Not all skin folk are kinfolk, so.
The language. I don't know who Tristan Daniels is tonight, but Kovia, talk to us. Let's look, because I know you've been moving and traveling. If you got some comments, we're open to them.
About these, I don't have much to say. I agree with these topics. So.
Okay. I just want to check in and make sure. All right. Did anyone else want to say anything? I know. Go ahead, Wakia.
So like the thing is, regardless of what Disney's possible morals are, their bottom line is the stuff that you're saying is messing up their money could mess up their money.
Period.
Therefore, if you mess up their money, they're gonna mess up your money. Let's keep it real. Regardless, yes, the morals, but also like whatever you're saying is messing up their money. It's gonna mess up their money, and they're not trying to deal with that. No.
Now here's my issue.
Let's be honest with that.
Here's my issue. I heard somebody say on the internet, why can't we just leave politics out of it? That's literally what we were asking her to do. That's what we want to ask Disney to leave politics out of it. Maybe she should have left. Look, because this thing, okay, I'm on this platform right now and I be talking about political stuff. If Disney called me tomorrow and was like, look, we want to hire you for this $8 million contract, but you can't do Talk It Out anymore, Rakia would be hosting this goddamn show. Okay?
I'll shut the fuck up.
Hey, real quick. You know, but or I wouldn't, right? But that would be my choice. But once I signed on for it, you signed on for it. And you can't be mad that you signed on for something. And it's Disney, bro. It's Disney. Like, it's Disney. So
and let's go back to the basics of the First Amendment. That shit protects you from the government.
There you go.
Not a private business that
go.
you happen to work for.
There you go.
Because they all have some. I'm a teacher. Now, I could get in trouble for doing something real blatantly stupid, like getting extremely drunk and like it being shown on Facebook. Any kind of thing. I could probably get in trouble for getting a ticket for drunk driving, something like that. Like that, those are actual clauses in my contract. So like that's a thing. So like she wasn't canceled, especially if Ben Shapiro is gonna plan on having her like do something where he's producing it. She's okay. She'll be all right.
But it's Ben Shapiro, though. So.
Right. Either way, but let's always keep in mind that the First Amendment protects you from the government, y'all. Not a company that you work for that decides what they want to do and decides what their morals are, and you gotta follow them. Y'all, common sense. Y'all, go ahead.
And they had to protect that show too. I mean, that's their biggest. That is the Game of Thrones of Disney Plus. I mean,
not anymore. Not anymore.
Oh, Game of Thrones season 8.
I mean,
season 8.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like right now it's actually
WandaVision. Stop.
Right now it's WandaVision, and me and Rakia are absolutely watching WandaVision.
You never watched WandaVision. Sorry.
You will.
And we will talk about it on Geeking Out every other Monday.
Picked that app up off the ground, you know, and it's like she's not representing their brand at all.
She's right. They did have to protect that brand. All right. So just quick before we head into our main topic, just some other topics that I want to touch on really quick.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex, because you did say you wanted to go last. Go ahead.
Okay. So, long story short, okay, when it comes down to Gina Carano, I think she was 100% wrong in making that comparison because let's just, call it for what it is, okay? When it comes down to the Jews being corralled up, it's not because they had a difference of opinion, it's because of who they were. They were Jews, okay?
Right, something that they couldn't...
Yeah, they had no control over that, okay? You have control over what you say. Now, as somebody that's been a huge Gina Carano fan, I understand why Disney did it because, you know what? As a private company, they have every right to fire for who they want to. I just think when it comes down to the entertainment industry, there needs to be a little bit more consistency in this regard. I have no problem with them cutting Gina Carano loose. I just think that, if they're going to show consistency in this regard, because they gave Amber Heard her job back as Mira for Aquaman, and she beat the hell out of Johnny Depp. I mean, she is
agreed.
But this is the thing. Can we blame because you're saying I want the entertainment industry as a whole to act a certain way.
Yeah.
We're talking company to company. Disney did not give Amber Heard her job back.
No, they didn't.
Disney probably wouldn't have given Amber Heard her job because Disney don't play. Look, if it's anybody, Disney would have said, Johnny, you can't get a job. Amber, you can't get a job. Mm-hmm. Nobody's getting jobs. Mm-hmm. Y'all all jobless. Disney don't play. But my point, so my thing is, I get what you're saying, consistency. I would ask for consistency, company to company, situation to situation. I wouldn't ask consistency across the whole industry because what does that look like? Mm-hmm. What does that really look like when you have how many studios?
Yeah.
And so each studio has a different set of values and standards and missions and visions, and they're all going to react differently. I feel like this, though, when it comes to business, you have to compartmentalize. Absolutely. There's certain stuff I can't say at work. There's certain stuff, if you're in the military, you can't say
of course,
in or out of uniform.
Well,
it's the same thing. There's certain stuff you just can't do when you have a certain job. I know a lot of people who are just lawyers, and they're like, I can't do that because I'm a lawyer, or because I'm a teacher, or because I can't go skydiving because I need my legs. Whatever it is. I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Hatch Act is actually different now because you just can't say things that are representative of the military. But the thing, and you made a very good point about Amber Heard. But however, on Pedro Pascal's Instagram account, he actually did make the comparison about people that wear the MAGA hat are similar to the Confederacy and the Nazis, which I don't agree with the MAGA hat. However, I know plenty of people that are not Nazis or Confederates, but yet they're getting looped into the same category. I mean, I'm just,
we going somewhere.
I'm sorry, but
for that one. So can I say something to you about that, Alex?
Hey, it's your show, man. Go for it.
So it is my show.
It is
so
yes,
sometimes I forget because Tristan be here, but but no, it's like this. So the thing about it is, and this is why I really, because Arnold Schwarzenegger got to me with his little speech. When you think about before World War II, there were probably a lot of Nazis who were kind of like on the bandwagon, but weren't totally on the bandwagon, right? And then once shit went down, they had to pick a side. And what side do you think they picked?
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
Oh, okay, I can repeat it.
Amen.
So the not like before, I'm pretty sure before World War II, there were people who were very gung ho about we hate the Jews, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And there probably were some people who weren't as intense about it, but were kind of on the Nazi side, right? And then once the lines were clearly drawn, Nazis versus Jews, where do you think those middle ground people went? Do you think they sympathized with the Jews, or do you think they went with the Nazis?
Some of them were just so scared to speak out, actually.
That's my point. Which is fine. So now we have to think about, and I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's in the same situation when you have the MAGA people who are absolutely fucking racist and absolutely about violence and hurting people, period, right? If something were to go down, and we want to act like that's not possible, but something were to go down, do we feel like those people would all of a sudden be like, oh no, this is wrong? No, because if they were gonna, I don't feel like that, because if they were gonna do it, they would have did it on the 6th. If they were gonna do it, they would be doing it with Trump got acquitted. If they were gonna do it, they'd be doing it now. So I feel like this, it's like they're gonna go, because those are the type of people who I feel like are too afraid to speak up at this point, because it's like this. If you want to make America great again, point out when it was great.
Oh, I'm not saying.
No, not you. I'm not you. I'm just saying for those people who say MAGA means make it a great again. So you have to find a period in time where America was so-called great, which means no oppression. Not happening. You're not going to find a period in American history where oppression wasn't a thing, or where oppression wasn't going to be capitalized on. So if you want to say MAG, I'm down for MAG, okay?
Yep, I got you.
But I'm not down for MAGA, because MAGA would insinuate that some period in our past we were better, when every period in our past you look at, we were fucked up to either Japanese people, Jewish people, black people, gay
Native
people,
Americans,
Native Americans. So
I don't
and so the people who want to say yes, I'm in favor of making America great. There's no liberal that disagrees with you.
Yeah,
there's no.
Also,
I'm looking at it from this, because you see, I know people that actually spoke out against like what happened on the 6th, right? But the problem is, though, is because that's not drawing enough controversy right there. They're the people that are going to get ignored right there. And that's the unfortunate thing, is like there are people that are, Trump supporters, but I'm sorry?
I'm talking to Tristan. We gotta go to our main topic.
I'm sorry, but it's just like you've got Trump supporters that said what happened on the 6th was completely deplorable. I know some of these people, and I'm friends with some of these people, but it's just they're not the ones that capture the most attention. The people that support it are the ones, because what sells more, the sizzle or the steak? That's the way I look at it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tristan.
No, Tristan, because we got to move to the next week. So this is what we're going to do.
Time.
Right. We're going to move to our main topic for the night. But of course, before we go to our main topic, we're absolutely going to take a small 60-second ad break.
Hi, this is Cody from Cody Paul Media. Thank you for joining me. Anybody can record a video, but the question is, how do you make that video stand out among the rest? A quick animated video like this one can change things around for your company, so go to codypaulmedia.com and get those needs met today. See you later.
Yes.
Those were ads for Rem Alternis, Rem Alternis hosted Shadowrun RPG missions, which are every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I play a Nocturna elf who is also a mage. I'm a gang liaison. It's pretty fun. And then the other ad was for Cody Paul Media, which is a content creation. They help grow your YouTube channels. He grew his wife's YouTube channel from I would say a few hundred to 15,000 subscribers and followers. And they're doing big things over there, getting multiple hundred viewers per episode that they're doing over there. They think they fancy now, you know what I'm saying? When your friends blow up and they get all bougie and stuff, that's them. But I love them still. So go over there, hook up with them, subscribe to their channel. All right, so our main topic for tonight is workplace romances. I wanted to talk about this because I have very strong opinions about this, and I actually don't think I'm going to agree with my panel for once. Side note, before we go ahead, I wanted to give some shout outs. Lauryn Hill, her album went diamond. She's the first female rapper to do so. And also, I want to give love and prayers to everybody in Texas. I made a joke about it when it first happened, but now, seeing how bad it is, I really feel for the people out there, not having no power, and then the mayor and all that stuff that happened. And so I'm glad that Biden is sending the aid. People don't need to be cold.
Ted Cancrease.
Yeah, all that stuff. So
love it.
So thoughts and prayers go out to people in Texas. Get online, look on Facebook if you're in Texas. There's so many hacks online for ways that you can, enhance your lighting with a flashlight or cook soup with candles and all the stuff like that. So if you're out there, much love to you and be safe. All right. So I want to talk about workplace romances because I feel like the workplace is no place for romances. Period. You can find your soulmate at work, and I would turn her down, or him, whoever it was. They couldn't do it because I'm a professional, you see, and I don't do that. And I feel like if you do it, you're ratchet, and you're not acting properly in the workplace. Absolutely. I feel like if I'm your boss, and I find out if I'm your boss, and I find out Tristan and Rakia are dating, Rakia, can you see me in the office, please? So what's going on? I'm calling you next. So what's going on with you and Tristan? What's going on with you and Tristan, Rakia?
Nothing.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you like being employed here?
Yeah.
Okay, then you need to end that yesterday. Good day. That's how I am about it. Because I feel like workplace romances do nothing but cause issues and drama and conflict and unnecessary and plus, I feel like personally in relationships, you need space. You can't have space when you're going home and being with somebody that you're also at work with. So I kind of wanted to talk about it and see where everybody feels, who agrees with me. Hopefully everybody agrees with me. And then that'll be a quick show.
Oh, no.
Right. And then who agrees, who disagrees, why or why not? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first this time.
Go ahead, Alex.
Sorry. Okay, so I am actually the product of workplace relationships. That's how my parents met, actually. But the funny part was that nobody knew my parents were dating. And the reason why that is because everybody minded their own damn business, actually. So I look at it like this, right? If you can keep it professional in the workplace, for example, if you work with your betrothed to be or whoever you might have a relationship, whether it's a man or a woman, if you can keep it professional at work, it's nobody's business what you do on your off time. After all, you don't show up to work intoxicated. However, what you do on your off time is entirely your business, isn't it correct? So that's the way I look at it because I actually knew a couple people that I worked with. They were dating, but because I don't worry about what other people do, I had no idea that they were actually a couple until I found that they were getting married, actually. But that's just because they were actually able to maintain the work relationship and their personal life relationship completely separate. Now, if it becomes a problem within the workplace, then you are 100% correct, actually, Duryea. If it becomes a problem, like, for example, let's say, one person takes exception because the other person might be talking to another person they might take exception to, that's when it becomes a distraction in the workplace. That's when it becomes a problem, and that's when you absolutely 100% can handle it in a professional level. However, if two people happen to be dating, but they're still able to get their work done on time and a certain deadline, and there's no drama caused in the office, especially if there's no jealousy involved in the office, why not? What's the biggest problem right there?
Here's my only issue with that.
Go for it.
Because I'm looking at this from a supervisory standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm a supervisor, and I have to make a policy, which means it needs to be general. You're talking about case by case. Do I have the room to then basically wait and see if you can act professionally, or do I need to go ahead and blanket and say it's not happening? I feel like it's smarter to say, you know what, that's not acceptable here, than to say, well, if y'all can handle it, it's cool, but if it goes wrong, it's a problem, because that if it goes wrong could be issue, especially if it's a life or death type of job, like if you're policeman. I was watching Chicago PD earlier today. Good show, by the way. And on there's this couple that, as an audience member, I'm absolutely rooting for, but then there's that other side of me that's like, because it's like, they're in life or death situations every minute, you know?
Yeah.
And their goal should be the victim, blah, 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 blah. But when you dealing with, every time on that show, when somebody's in a relationship and something goes down, they always make the dumb choice because of that relationship. And now this couple is talking about adopting a child together. I'm like, so now y'all are both gonna, and that's crazy to me. It's just like, okay, so y'all are gonna adopt this child who's already lost two parents. Now, this is all fictional. I get it. This child is already.
Is this on the show?
I get it, but that's not the point. That's not the point, right? Y'all are about to adopt this child. Y'all already lost two parents, and y'all both are in a job where y'all could either die together or die one at a time, right? And introduce more death to this child. And the fact that y'all are working together is a higher likelihood that one of y'all will do some stupid shit and die.
But how are you going to stop it, though?
All right. Well, just because there's matches doesn't mean there's always going to be a fire. All right, you got to deal with it, like you said.
What are matches for, Jim?
Right, but if you just leave them in a drawer, what do, Duryea?
Ooh.
Don't do that. Like we on the playground.
I'm just saying.
You're freaking awesome. I'm sorry, dude. You're awesome.
I worked with the girl that I'm currently dating, and we're going to get married.
So this is personal for you.
I worked with them. We all
don't do that, Jim. Don't let it get personal.
No. I'm just saying.
So what happened? Did you guys stay in the same job, or like?
No, that's what happened.
Did you get like a different job?
Yeah, I worked at a coffee shop. Then I started getting a job somewhere else, and after that, a year or two after that, we started dating. It's not.
Wait, so y'all,
we were in the workplace.
Wait then. So y'all were working together, and then when y'all got not intimate, but interested, y'all decided not to work together. I know y'all decided not to work.
We had already not worked together. That's why I'm saying this isn't directly connected.
Wait, I'm sorry. Then, so you're saying y'all were working together?
We worked together for a time period,
and then y'all stopped working together.
That time period ended, and then like a year or two after that, we started dating.
That's not a workplace romance.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Oh.
I'm not defending it just because there's matches. There's going to be a fire. That was the point I was making.
I also think how old you are matters too. Like when I had my first jobs, Eddie and I worked together 2 jobs, and it was hot. You know.
Like sexy hot, or like it was hot.
I mean,
but didn't y'all work in restaurants?
Work with them, it's great. Oh yeah.
That don't count. That's the one. That's the one job where it doesn't count.
So this is why I was going to say
why
your
doesn't
age
it count?
matters, because now I work in the industry and it's serious. The youngest person is probably 25. The rest are married with kids. Like we're in it, you know. I'm the boss now of 50 people, and
can I get a job?
It's crazy. But like it always works itself out. Like the serious relationships we've had, like where they get engaged, they get married, one of them always leaves. Because that's the move. Like you just cannot. The older we get, like we're in our 30s, or I don't know what we are, but it seems like probably something like that. It's serious. Like this is your income. I can't be worrying about that kind of stuff and the place. You spend 80% of your time at your job. I mean, I know I do. And
but I think that's the reason why I think some career paths it's difficult to meet someone outside of work because you're always at work. So if you look at somebody that works in if you work in news, if you work in, let's say, a congressional office or even in the White House, you probably spend 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15 hours of your day at your job. So I think it's at some point it becomes difficult to meet people outside of where you work. And then I kind of disagree with Durier. I think
Of course
the
you
one
do.
place where you shouldn't, the one place you shouldn't date somebody is restaurants and if you in theater, like if you're doing I know showmances are a thing, and let me tell you why. Every time I've seen it happen, nothing good comes of it. I worked at my first serving job was at Carrabba's, and I remember we had 2 bartenders that dated each other, and the shit went left quick. And they would work whole shifts behind the bar and not speak to each other. But think about it, you can't bartend for
And
a
not
whole
communicate.
restaurant and not communicate. I've been in shows where 2 people dated, and like, no, we can't really do this show and have the energy we need if you motherfuckers don't want to speak to each other.
Now, this is where I will say this. Okay. Now, I did a show with a good friend of mine, but at the time we never dated. It was never romantic, but at the time we was beefing. Me and her was beefing, and we were the only people in the show. It was 45 minutes. We were playing a couple. We were super intimate in the show, and we was beefing. We were beefing at the audition. I remember because at the audition, right before, they was like, can y'all read together? And it was funny. Eddie directed the show, Sam. So Eddie was like, can y'all read together? And me and her went out in the hallway. I was like, look, I know we beefing, but you a good actress, and we about to eat this shit up. And me and her went in there, and we ate it up. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like when it comes to acting, I'm kind of on the fence with that one. I feel like an actor has to know how to leave themselves out of the situation anyway. So I feel like because of that,
that's the whole profession.
Yes, that's literally your job, is to lose yourself, is to not be. So I feel like if you can't go into a rehearsal situation, yeah. So I feel like for the most part, that's actually an avenue. That's actually one genre that I feel like workplace romances actually work, is in theater.
Couldn't it be argued that everybody in their profession should leave the shit at the door?
It's different when you're acting, because when you're acting, you literally. Well, it is different because acting is a job that requires emotion and emotional, not manipulation, but you have to handle your emotions when you're. That's period. That's part of the job description. Like if you're being a goddamn number, if you're punching numbers, part of your job isn't actually like controlling and manipulating your emotions. As an actor, it is. So when you're at work, your behavior is absolutely necessary to productivity. So I feel like when I'm lying. I was dating a dude and I was directing him in a show.
Ooh, inappropriate. Grossly inappropriate.
Here's the difference. Now listen. I was dating him before we did the show. Get your fingers out of my camera. And Lacovia, I see you too. Okay. Don't judge me. Okay. Let me finish. We were already dating, okay? We were already dating, and then his audition just happened to be stellar. I couldn't help that he came in and did the good audition.
Was the audition stellar or was the busing stellar?
Let me tell you the truth. It's actually funny. And I mean this without argument. He came into the audition and did the thing. And I fought for him to get a role. And I was out, the other 2 people in casting did not think that he should get the role that I wanted him to have. So he got another role. So it wasn't about him. It was undisputed that he should be in the show. The issue was the role. So it had nothing to do with that. It was 3 people casting. And while we were in the show, I told him, I said, this wasn't the first show I directed him. I said, look, when we go in this show, I'm Durier, the director. Okay. Anybody who's ever worked in the show with me knows, like when it's showtime, it's showtime. I'm your friend outside of here. Even Jim knows. Like Jim, when we was in Bad Boy, hated my guts at rehearsal. But after rehearsal, oh, you hated me. There was one time we was doing a dance routine. I remember this shit so bad. Jim was sweating. He wiped his sweat and walked up stage and just started cursing.
I was embarrassed as fuck. I'm this fat kid dumping around and Durier's dancing his ass off.
But Jim would look good. Jim looked good.
Sausage in the sun.
Jim looked good. Jim he turned us and he said, God damn it. I was like, look.
Shit,
but my point is, after I'm saying all that, my point is to say, okay, look, we had to establish that between ourselves. Like, look, this show is important to me. This show is important to you. We need to go in there and do our thing. And we never had. And in addition to that, my best friend was in that show too. And my best friend will tell you, like, when it's work time, it's work time. However, I think that's only applicable in two industries: the restaurant industry and the show industry. The restaurant industry, because there's teamwork involved in the restaurant industry, but there's not a lot of intimate teamwork. Like it's like drive-by teamwork. You know what I'm saying? So I think in a relationship, like if me and Sam are dating, right? And she's at work, we don't have to be around each other if we don't really want to. We can actually take that time to be apart. We might encounter each other, hey boo, and then keep it moving. If you have one of these jobs where you actually have to work together a lot, I don't think you need to be dating the person that you have to do that with, because then you're going to get tired of them, and that you're not going to be able to leave that stuff at home.
And also, like what you said, Tristan, like when you do work those jobs where you're there a lot, like 12, 13, 14 hours, is this really the person you're going to marry? Because what if you don't? What if you break up? What if this is a person that works in the same room with you for 13 hours a day, or is in meetings with you for 13 hours a day? Are you ready to look at their face for another year, 2 years, 5 years?
That's where communication.
It didn't work out. It's awkward.
That's where communication really comes into play right there, though, because the reason why most relationships fail is because of a lack of communication right there. Where, like, even if you were facing your spouse or whoever you're dating at work and you're facing, like, later on the line, you still have to be able to just have that method of communication right there, because that's one of the main reasons as to why so many relationships fail, is because people are afraid to communicate right there. Because a prime example of a couple that can work together even though and still have a healthy relationship is from Shark Tank, Lori Greiner. She and her husband work together all the time.
Wait. Lori Greiner's the one with the long hair or the short hair?
The blonde hair.
The long blonde hair.
And who's her husband? The black dude?
No.
He's not on Shark Tank.
He's not on Shark Tank.
Oh, okay.
But like at the company that she works at, because she and her husband actually work together when she's not on Shark Tank, and they still have a very healthy relationship. But
they're equals, right?
They are equals, yes. But and that's the thing right there, is because you have to have that established method of communication where you are still my equal. You know, even if, like, let's say, for example, like you said that you were the director of somebody you were dating at one point, right?
Right.
But as long as you remembered that, just because, like, you're directing now, but if you treat this person like shit, they're going to remember that shit when you get home, though. You know that they're going to have, like, some feelings about that. Even that's where you got to remember, like, depending on who, if you treat somebody a certain way, even if you're in charge of them, later down the line, like, say, for example, you hang out at work, they're probably going to want to come and talk to you, and it's like, hey, man, you're being pretty cool with me earlier, and stuff like that. But if you're just a complete dick to them the whole time, they're not going to want to hang out with you. Especially if you guys are hanging out with a comfortable setting. But that's just my personal viewpoint, because I've experienced stuff like this before. But anyway, sorry.
And is it going to affect your other actors too? Because, like, the way I look at it, I'm like, is he making me look like shit because, you know, he wants this guy to be in the limelight and look better? Which, of course, you wouldn't, right?
Well, that's a fair point.
That's a fair point. But, like, the people who've worked with me know I don't do... Like, I've actually directed Sam. So, for me, when it's time to direct... Like, I'm friendly, but I'm not your friend.
You're assertive.
I'm not assertive. It's just...
You got to be assertive, though. You got to be consistent. As long as you're consistent across the board, you've got nothing to worry about.
Can I ask the people a question?
Sure.
Or can I tell a secret?
You can take over the show.
I can tell a secret. You be playing... I ain't even said that much about this.
I'm fucking with you.
Okay. So I have a crush on one of my current... I work in a very small office. Like, hopefully
they're
nobody...
watching right now.
They probably are.
No, we're not friends on Facebook for this.
But I shared the video to your job. Yeah.
Please don't.
I did.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to get viewers.
In my office, so it's me and 3 other people. So it's 4 people in our office total. So one person is our big boss. The other is our assistant boss. And then me and the other girl are like the regular workers. So my assistant boss, I don't want to say his title because people might figure out what I do. I'm very much like, I'm super attracted to him. Like, a lot. Like, he's super handsome. He's super fun.
What that ass
not
look like though?
It's nice. Like he's a.
Is it a high booty or is it a?
It's like a high small booty. Like, it's not like a super like.
Not small. Can't do small. I can
But,
do.
like,
I can do low and big or high. I can't do small though. Is it
But,
like
I mean-
there's a difference between small and compact.
It fits him. Like, he's like a taller.
That means
like,
small.
No. Like, he's like he plays sports.
Okay.
I don't want to say what sports because someone might figure out who he is. I don't know. But
Anyway, go ahead. Tell your
but like, I'll be real. I would fuck him. Like, if he wanted to fuck, I'd be like, okay, cool.
and so you're saying, wait, so that's why you're pro workplace romances is because you want to hook up with your boss
I'm pro whatever the fuck makes me feel good
at that moment.
Like,
but don't you understand? Like, but don't you think ahead?
Not like, let me be clear. Not like fuck all the consequences, but like
Okay.
I've had moments where
Just
there was
the
someone I
people you
found
work
attractive that I worked with, and I wouldn't engage because the consequences were like, nah, it's not worth it. And then
sorry,
other
I couldn't
times
help it.
I've met people where I was attracted to them enough to where I felt like the positives outweighed the negatives, if that makes sense.
So
And
then
also-
here's my question, Tristan. The job that you have currently, is this a job for you or is this the beginnings and the makings of a career?
Oh, it's a whole career. Like, it's a situation.
So this is a career for you.
Yeah.
So
for real, yeah.
you're one night, I'm gonna set it up like a romance novel.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Working late, punching in, toot, 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 toot. Hey, Tristan, I've got some files in my office that need some inspection.
Filing.
Right, okay. And we know where the story. So then, what do you say? Like,
storyline to a bad point.
this is not a job for you. This is what you want to be your career. What
Okay,
do you
I would
say?
not- I would not sleep with him in my office, because it's not a porno.
But it was the point.
Let me finish. He's
You're not gonna do it in the
It's an
office.
adventure, man.
Here's the deal. First of all, I'm a gentleman. You can take me on a date
Oh,
and pay
God.
for some shit.
You gotta buy me dinner first.
Yes. And let's be very clear. I have expensive taste. We don't do the Olive Garden Red Lobster.
You can
over
take
here.
me to straight to
No.
goddamn Red Lobster. You can take me to Popeyes.
No.
Shit.
No, I need a nice date. And also, like, I guess when I say I like, I don't just physically find him attractive. Like, I genuinely
You like this person.
I enjoy his personality. I enjoy being around him. I actually look forward to going to work because I know.
Oh Lord, you in bad, boy.
Oh, bad. Oh,
You're in bad.
So-
Oh
so
God.
bad.
So in about a month and a half, we're gonna do a topic called "How to Mend Broken Fences." And Tristan's gonna be on that panel. I just feel it in my spirit. Now let me ask you this, Kristen.
Question on the thing.
What's the question? If you go into a relationship knowing there is risks, are you willing to be the one to leave or be fired?
So the way
Hold
it
on, he
works
gotta
at
get the
my
fuck out.
company-
Wait, let Sam pointed out the question, so let her
I
respond
love
to
it, and I think, and I've been in like so many meetings about this. The way it works in my company now, and I love it. The higher up person stays.
Period.
Period.
They got
And
seniority.
there's never been, every time that it's ever happened, that the person leaving happily, and we would help them find something. Like, definitely help you find something. I'll give you a glowing recommendation.
So you don't believe in workplace romances, Sam?
No, not in this workplace. It's too. I know you said restaurant, but this is like one of those serious places. Like, this is a career.
Oh, this is like 5
You
star.
can make salary, get paid vacation. Like, this isn't you working for tips at a table. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So,
I know
like,
some.
we've never had an issue that the person under always goes, but we'll help you.
Why are you gonna put that person on blast? You so right.
This is Tinder. This is Tinder. This is not who I don't work. I don't know this man.
It don't matter.
All I see is glasses anyway.
Don't nobody care about what your life is like. So let me ask you, Tristan, would you be willing to quit your job for this person?
Ooh.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Now you act surprised, but this is the reality of workplace romances. If you decide to engage in a workplace romance, you have to consider the fact that you may lose your job.
I will be honest. If me and this person, if someone said, "Hey, you can date this person seriously, but you guys can't work together, I would be more than willing to move on and go work in the same industry at a different place.
That's like that in the
I
Army.
have no problem
You
with
can't
that.
say it's not like that, Duryea. It's like that in the Army. It definitely is. Swear to God.
How?
What do you mean how?
How?
Like, if there's a relationship, actually, if you're in the same unit, you actually have...
Oh, you're talking unit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would have to... But that's
Exactly.
different, though.
Yeah.
Leaving your unit is different than leaving the Army.
Well, you're not leaving the Army. Yeah.
But like what he's saying... But to me, I feel like if you're in the military...
Yeah.
And you decide to date someone else in the military and they ask you to quit your job, which would be... in my opinion, leaving the military.
Yeah, so I actually had a situation like this, okay? There was actually two people that were suspected of dating right there, so we pulled them both into the office to ask them, because this guy was getting ready to go to the promotion board, and you know how it is, Duryea. He was getting ready to be a non-commissioned officer, and she was still enlisted, which would have caused some serious tension in the unit. And we basically pulled him in, and we asked him, is there a relationship going on? And he said that he had feelings, but she said she had no feelings for him whatsoever. But long story short, they're still married to this day. So I think they were just saying it just to save his career right there. So, but that's my whole entire point, though.
Here's a question. Here's a question I have to y'all. I see you, Justin. So go ahead.
Yeah, just really quick. So I think there's a reason why companies... Is my mic on? I think there's a reason why companies have policies against this. And yeah, some people are mature enough that they could brush things aside, but part of being in the workplace is like flirting. People are just flirty with each other in the workplace. No matter where you work, it happens. So I think companies have this policy because it can go bad really fast. So like most big companies, they'll have a policy against it. The last company I worked for, they didn't have a policy against you being married or in a relationship or anything, but you couldn't work in the same department. So there's always fair. Like compromises that can be made, but I think it's important that if you are dating, you shouldn't work directly with each other unless it's like a family-owned business or something like that. Then that's completely different.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So my question is this. So I was talking to somebody today, and they were basically talking about, how do you, even the situation that I was talking about, like where I wanted to cast my boyfriend in this significant role in the show. But it actually wasn't because he was my boyfriend. It was because I honestly felt like he was the best person for that role. Mm-hmm. So, but the question was, my question is this. So you're a worker, and these people are dating, and the coworker, the leader, the administrator of the two promotes the person that they're dating. How do you even differentiate between whether that person deserved that promotion or whether that was favoritism? That's why I think workplace romances are just... because even if you're the best person for the job, everyone's going to look at it like,
You could step away from the situation.
You have no control over that whatsoever. You really don't.
You could go to like one of your producers and be like, hey, I'm thinking about promoting somebody. Who do you think I should promote? And let them make the decision.
But if people know they're together, like I know as that person's, if I was like the significant other's equal or something, I'd be like, man, they only got a promotion because they're doing the boss. Because come on.
You're putting it down.
Even if you're a true, honest, wonderful person, I don't know that.
Gossip folk.
If I don't know you, I probably don't.
Gossip folk. What can I say? I mean, people are going to talk about you for the rest of your life, but at the end of the day, I mean, what does it matter what other people think?
But that's the point, though.
Morale in the workplace.
That part.
It can bring down morale in the workplace. I 100% agree.
And morale is so important.
It can
that
be.
part,
if not the most important, so far as productivity.
But if they're proven wrong, though, I mean, does it really make that much of a difference?
But what I like about what Sam is saying is that we're talking about it. We're talking about in the situation of like, can you and your partner maintain professionalism and a healthy relationship? What she's saying is that it's more than you and your partner, because when you're in a work environment, there's a team involved. So even if you and your partner can manage to compartmentalize and be one way at work and then another way at home, how is the rest of your team going to feel? And that's something I feel like a lot of people don't consider when they get into relationships in the workplace. Is like, we could have the perfect relationship. We could never let our work affect our relationship. But do the rest of the team members feel still like they are equal part of this team? Do they all feel like they are valued as workers equally, or do they feel? And if morale goes, then trust goes, productivity goes, and the next thing you know, go ahead, Tracy.
I think if the two people who are in a relationship, if they conduct themselves in a way, I think people will respect you, and if you conduct yourself at work like you're at work. Does that make sense? So I think the people around you will follow your lead. So if at work, you guys are at work and they're different and you guys are not being lovey-dovey and you treat your job like it's a job and everyone is kind of doing what they're supposed to do, I think, at least in my experience when I've had people who work together, where I've worked in places where people dated, everyone kind of followed their lead. I think the issue with people you work with comes from they're feeling like the two people are not respecting the boundaries that should be there. The two people aren't, there may be some favoritism involved in terms of if it's a boss and a subordinate. But I think if both people, maintain those boundaries, I think that the coworkers, and I also think it's an age thing too. I think when you're dealing with older people, it's a little bit different than people who are, who's 19, 20, 21, that kind of thing.
It all kind of comes back to, like, if you notice, like, a change in someone's performance, like a particular person, if you're the supervisor or if you're it's your, I wouldn't say it's your responsibility, but maybe you should kind of pull that person off to the side and see what the skinny is right there. Because, trust me, I've seen stuff like that plenty of times before. And you just kind of have to pull that person aside. It's like, hey, everything all right? I mean, are we cool or something like that? And they're like, oh, well, it's just because, I liked her, and then you start dating her. It's like, well, what's that got to do with your professionalism? Don't you think you should maintain a level of professionalism right there? And that's maybe something you could address with that person right there, even though, like, your relationship with that particular person is really none of their business. But if you feel like it's affecting the workplace, that's something you all can address, possibly, and try to find a work out the kinks right there. And as long as you maintain a level of consistency right there, there shouldn't be a problem right there. And if people feel like, hey, he only got the job because, they're dating each other, if that person's, like, performing very well, and if they recognize this person's an accomplished actor or actress, maybe is a hint of jealousy or something like that, or maybe because they're just feeling, well, hey, I wanted that role too, but they only got it just because they're sleeping together. I mean, you got to admit that usually plays a part into it as well. But anyway, I'm sorry.
This comment brings up a good example of things. Because it's like, imagine writing your wife up and not getting any nana for a year, right?
Oh, that's something for y'all to figure out.
So this is the reason I bring this up is like this. It's like, how do you discipline your spouse at work? How do you exalt your spouse at work effectively without causing problems? And I don't think there's a way to do either.
If she's a professional and you're a professional, you've got nothing to worry about.
If she was a professional, she wouldn't be getting roped the fuck up.
Well, how
it
do you
doesn't
figure?
matter. You still take that stuff home. Like, you can try to separate it as much as you want and tell yourself you're going to be professional. At the end of the day, that shit still goes home with you.
But that's where communication comes into play. Communication.
Listen, if I have to write my wife up or husband for anything, that means unprofessionalism was already occurring because I have to write them up.
Well, were you right though?
Huh?
Were you right about it though? Were you absolutely 100% in the right on writing them up though?
I'm gonna sit, even if I wasn't, but my point is this.
Yeah.
If there comes a point where a spouse has to write up another spouse at work, something has gone wrong. Why?
Because at home.
Yeah.
I mean, did I write you up because you were an hour late? Yeah. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work. And like a conversation that Eddie and I have had is like, we want to open our own business eventually. And like a discussion we've had is how do you make sure that doesn't affect the people that work for you? And we've talked about this for hours. We think the solution is offering ownership. You work with us so long, you get ownership in the company, you get a seat at the table. Like, but it's very complex. It's so complex.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Are we going to be the ones making the most money? Are we going to be the ones working the most? Are we going to be together? Are we going to be separate? Like, it's not easy. And I have seen it fail and be so weird.
No, I have no doubt that it's very difficult. But, that's where, like, it really defines the relationship right there, though. And once again, that's where communication comes into play. I keep bringing up communication just because that's the one thing.
I worry about the way it affects the rest of the company. Like Eddie and I, dude, best communicate. We've been
Yeah.
together for 15 years, never been in a fight once.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
15?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Congratulations.
We're,
That's
we're
awesome.
literally, we're perfect.
They fight about me.
We fight about Dirty Day. So
Thank you.
Because
Mm.
he likes Eddie a little better. but the thing.
I was not prepared for that one.
No, I'm kidding.
Why couldn't it be that I like you,
Eddie
Sam?
was excited
Why you gotta
to see
pigeonhole
him.
me? Why can't it be that I like you? That's what I'm
No,
saying.
you love me.
I'm so upset.
I think the biggest thing with all of this is how it affects not the people in the relationship, but the people around the relationship.
And that never gets thought about.
It is really hard not to mess that up.
On the
Do you
I
know
agree.
what's a
The reason
good-
I want to hop on what Sam said is because in this conversation right now, I'm actually realizing that is the part of this equation that we don't really think about, because we always feel like, oh, can you handle a relationship while you're working with someone? Can you be professional? We don't consider, what about the people who still have to work with you regardless of how y'all function in your relationship? Because at the end of the day, if I feel like I'm working my ass off, because I've already felt like this without working with people who've dated, where I'm working my ass off and I was underappreciated, right? How much worse would that be if I'm working my ass off next to someone who I feel like isn't working as hard as me, but they're dating the boss and they're getting like recognition, promotions and stuff like that? What is that going to make me feel like? How am I going to behave? And let's be clear, as professional as you want to be, you're still a human. So your emotions are going to get involved, and you spend more time at work than you spend anywhere else. And it's really hard to be working somewhere, putting your heart and soul into your job, and then when things don't work out the way you want to, not to respond emotionally. It's almost impossible, because in order to do a job well, you really have to invest your emotions. You have to try. You have to want it to be amazing. And then to not get that recognition and see it to pass off to someone else, and just to be like, you know what, I'm in the workplace, I'm just going to eat that and continue doing that. That's impossible. So I agree with her. You have to think about how this relationship will affect the collective, because the workplace is a workplace which involves a team of employees. Tristan?
I was thinking, so there's kind of two examples that I can think of when you can kind of see where communication was good with two people who work together and two people where it was bad. So on CNN, there are two commentators. One's named Annie, and I forget what her husband's name, but she is a Republican and he's a Democrat, and they work on CNN as commentators and they get along great. Sometimes they even have them on the same show together. So clearly there must be some great communication at home or in the workplace, because you guys have not only do it on CNN and you don't feel any. It feels like two normal people having a conversation. You don't feel like there's a tension or a weird energy. And they've been on CNN together for years. The flip side of that is you have Kellyanne Conway and her husband George Conway, who don't even work in the same building, but y'all can't even exist in the same industry. Like, y'all do interviews about each other. Your kids be out here wilding because y'all are out here wilding. God. And it's like, damn, like, all because you didn't set. I think if you're going to have a workplace romance, there has to be ground rules. There has to be ground rules about what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, how we're going to handle things at work, how we're going to handle things at home. Will we talk about work things at home? I wouldn't. I think you should leave work things at work and you should leave home.
But how does making those rules apply to the team? Do you loop the team into those rules?
I don't think you necessarily have to, because I think if you're doing what you're supposed to do at work, the team won't even necessarily realize that you are dating. And prime example, when I worked in news, right? We had a reporter and a meteorologist who were dating, and we didn't know they were dating for like 2 months. Nobody knew. But
here's my thing about it. What's the point of a relationship?
I mean, it depends on who's
different for different people.
What's the point? Like, what's okay? So I decided to be in a No. We're not talking about hooking up at the office Christmas party. What's the point of a relationship?
Love.
I'm sorry. What's the goal when you decide to be in a relationship?
Together.
Yes. What, no matter how that looks, marriage, you're building a life with this person. Okay. So I decided I want to build a life with Jim, right? Me and Jim about to build a life.
Oh.
But we work together. I've been trying to hop people. I've used everybody for examples, okay? Me and Jim about to build a life together, but we work together, right? So it's like, all right, so Jim, we about to build this life together. And that's the goal. It's long term, period, right? Because otherwise, why sit down and make these rules? If we're just screwing, we're just screwing. Like, we can have some, but we're building a life together at this point. So, all right, Jim, but we're going to hide it from our coworkers. That's problematic, because what that means is there's a term limit on how long we're going to hide it. Because at the end of the day, either I'm going to leave the job, you're going to leave the job, or we're going to tell our coworkers. One of those three things is absolutely going to happen, because we're not going to continue to have this we're not going to go 10 years into the future with this as a secret. It's not smart. It's not healthy. It's really not possible that we're going to have a healthy work environment while we're keeping the secret that we're engaged, married, whatever it is, because it's going to progress, right? The point is a long-term relationship. So we're dating now. It's eventually going to go to engaged. Like, that's the idea, right? So it's like, so we're not going to keep this a secret. So how are we going to move into the public sphere of this relationship? Well, we're going to tell our coworkers. How are they going to feel? Are they going to be able to still work with us knowing that we're together?
Well, they already
yes,
were.
no. And if we say yes, how are we going to... I feel like if you decide to get into a relationship with a coworker, it is your responsibility to make sure that your other coworkers are comfortable. Because we try to pretend like it's none of their business what I'm doing. Absolutely. Because you and your activities are affecting my motherfucking money. And that's how I feed my children and wipe my ass at night and go to sleep with a comforter. That's how I live. So your decisions in your relationship absolutely affect my job. Because let's say, for instance, like this. Me and Rakia and Tristan are on a team and I'm dating Sam. And something go down with me and Sam, and me, Tristan, and Rakia all get fired. The team gets held responsible. That's highly likely. So my point is saying, I feel like that's never. I feel so enlightened by this. You absolutely have, because Sam has really hit me up with that shit. Like, you absolutely have to consider how this is going to affect the team, because when you're in a work relationship, that is still a relationship. Not when I say work relationship, let me rephrase. When you have a coworker. Not intimate, just a coworker. That's a relationship. That has to be one based on trust and understanding. In order to effectively work with somebody, you got to know how to maneuver around them, correct? So if I'm hiding this relationship with my boss from you, one day it's going to come out. I'm either going to have to leave or I'm not. If I want to stay, then we have to consider how to loop y'all into making our relationship a reality.
And a big part of that too is, I think, like, even on a team of 4, it's so rare that the 4 of us are equals with the same job. Like, somebody's a supervisor, somebody's in charge of locking the door, someone's in charge of whatever. Oh, did Sam slacked on this thing again, but like, she and Duryea are a thing and he's been letting her do that lately. Or if we weren't dating, they would be like, oh, well, Sam's been like slacking on this stuff. But it's not your fault because we're not dating. But then if we were, now it's your fault. It's just like little stupid stuff like that is what arises from. It's just in the back of people's heads all the time.
Isn't that their problem, though, to think like that, though, honestly?
It's just human. I think it's just human.
It can be human, but that's my entire point, though, is like, you have no control how everybody's going to feel about you anyway. And if, let's say, for example, if you and Duryea were working together already, and you were dating together already, but you kept it completely under wraps, right? Nobody knew anything about that. You might have a couple people that are suspicious on the side, though. But if the relationship was already going on, but then all of a sudden, out of the blue, hey, we're dating, what's really going to change? Now everybody's suspicions are confirmed, or it's like, oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense. But you really have no control of that. I'm sorry, I keep taking up the soapbox. My apologies, so I'm sorry.
This is a conversation. Joy, Justin?
So, yeah, a little bit to Alex's point. So, say Duryea and Sam were dating, right? And Sam's getting these promotions and all this stuff is going on, and then, like, you find out 6 months later that they were dating. You'd be like, holy shit, I fucking knew it. Like, you'd be like, oh, it all makes sense now. She didn't deserve those promotions. Blah. It would damage chemistry within that department really, really bad.
Morale. Like, my mind is blown just thinking about that. Like, because I never really considered, my whole issue with this has always been about how do you as an individual respond with your partner at work. It's never been about, and I think that's a big part of the problem. We don't consider the rest of the team and how it's going to affect the rest of the team.
Yeah, Sam came through and dropped a bomb on
because they think about she did. Because think about this. Like Sam said, in her work environment, it's always the one who has the lower position that leaves, right? Okay, so let's go there. Tristan is the boss. I'm the lower position. However, in the lower position, I'm the one who all the other people look toward for things, right? And now I'm gone. So now they're sitting there like, fuck, we're now having to scramble to readjust to this thing, and we didn't consider how it was going to be without Duryea.
You have to adjust all the same to be able to let you go.
You hope, but that's not always the case.
You have to remember, everybody's expendable at their position, though. It doesn't. There's no such thing as nobody's too valuable to be kept at that position. That's actually a principle I learned from Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank as well. I love Shark Tank.
Okay.
I'm putting it like that. Yeah, but Justin made a good point. Sam made a very good point as well. But at the same time, though, if people have a problem with you two dating in the workplace right there, and if you're just going to automatically, it's like, well, she only got that job because, they're dating each other. Aren't you actually devaluing her as a person? How do you know that she's not actually qualified for her job, but it's just the fact that they just happen to be dating at that time? Isn't that kind of like one of those stereotypes we need to kind of be getting away from? Now,
but do you think human nature, what do you think human nature leans toward? Do you think human nature gives the benefit? Let's be honest. Do you think human nature is going to give that person the benefit? No. She's great at her job. That's why she got the job. Or you think, of course, they're fucking.
But the negative says yes.
We're also not considering, though, and maybe this is because I'm a hopeless romantic and
Hallmark movies.
Right. I think we can probably all have been in situations where sometimes you just click with somebody, and let's say you click with somebody you work with, and you don't want to date them because you think workplace, like Daria thinks it's wrong, right? He thinks the shit is wrong as fuck. But then time go, sometimes you can only do so much to hedge your attraction to somebody, if that makes any sense. Sometimes, sometimes chemistry is undeniable.
Just takes over.
And it takes over. So I think that's the one thing we're not considering. You can in your head, you know what? I know this is wrong, or this isn't the best case scenario. But I'm not gonna miss my nigga because we work together and some motherfuckers might have some feelings. Fuck you.
I'm not missing on my happiness. I don't care about you. So
period. And
I appreciate that.
My current situation. Thank you very much.
Okay, so on that note, we're gonna go into our final thoughts. But before we go into our final thoughts, let us have a very, very short ad break. That was an ad for the Springer Opera House. The Springer Opera House has adapted to performing during the pandemic. So what's happening at the Springer is they are doing an outdoor theater festival, which starts with Singing in the Rain, which will premiere in March 18th. And they're going to build an outdoor space that's going to house all of their shows. They're going to have a string of shows, including Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Singing in the Rain, and so much more. So if you want to find out more about that, head over to SpringerOperaHouse.org now. You can buy tickets, and you can find out about the other shows during the season. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be
Is that here in Columbus, Georgia?
Are you in Columbus?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know you was in
Not
Columbus.
Yeah.
Are you being funny?
Yeah, we
No, I swear to God.
Yes, that is in Columbus, Georgia.
all have a Columbus
Yeah.
connection except
Yeah.
Justin. You
Except Justin at this point. Justin's like,
Georgia, though. I'm not.
Justin's like, I don't. So you're in Georgia, Justin?
Yeah, I am in Georgia.
Look at us. It's a whole Georgia family right here. Look at that.
Oh, small.
That's
world.
why this panel works. We just need to have only Georgians on here. I'm sorry if I offend anybody.
Well, I'm not from
really.
Georgia originally. I just live in Georgia right now, so.
But you're a Georgian. You're a peach of a person.
Yeah.
Just my peachy personality.
That's what it is. All right, this is the part of the show that we call Final Thoughts. And during Final Thoughts, what we like to do is we like to give each panelist a moment to tell us about what they're leaving the conversation with, what they learned from the conversation, or any little anecdotes that they want to leave us with. They can talk about anything from our current events to our main topic, anything that sparks them. So I want to actually start with Dewey Ogle Sucks tonight.
Always go to me first.
Do I always go to you first, really?
It's okay. No,
Do I
always say
really?
the same thing anyway. It's all right.
Now I'm going to go look at the other videos and see if
It's
that's
okay.
true.
I think the last time you did it, you put it on me.
Okay.
I usually say the same thing. This was real nice because everybody kind of agreed on the same subject, and even, when we were splitting hairs, things didn't go haywire. But, I always tell people that I love them. I use that word profusely because I do love you. I enjoy the fact that we are both humans. We have brains that can interpret the things that come out of our mouths. And just for that fact, I love you. Given other things, we can go from there. But
Shade.
Just because we are two humans, I do have love. We are connected. So I love all you guys. Thank you.
Great. That was sweet. Jim is a really sweet soul. All right. So next, let's go to Justin.
Yeah, so tonight I came prepared for my final thoughts. Last week, I was not. Yeah, so I kind of taking everything in from the current events and then even the topic. I want to say think about your impact. So with the transgender people being murdered, think about your impact on words, how those affect people. You could just be saying like how you personally feel about it because of your religion or whatever your belief, like whatever causes that. But think about how that impacts others because eventually those words do mean something to other people. And how they interpret those words could end up leading them to murder somebody. Same thing for Rush Limbaugh. I hope he rots in hell. That's just my personal opinion.
Wow.
Personally, I believe that because, again, impact and his show and what it's done to the right, it's kind of been the fuel between this alt-right movement that we've seen. So there was him, and then there's some others that go along with him. But altogether, they kind of fueled that, and I think he was one of the first ones to do that. And then with Gina Carano, again, she's got to think of impact of her words because had she been more aware and not said those things, I don't think she necessarily really believes that. I think she was trying to get some shock value, but getting that shock value ultimately got her fired. And then I'm just saying. And then with workplace romances, think about your impact on the people you work with, not just the person that you're in love with. So
yes.
Oh, and thank you guys for having me on.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Justin. Those were very good points. You can also find Justin on the Unity Experiment. You don't have a set time. It's different.
Right now, it's Fridays is our set time. Fridays at like 9.
Fridays at 9.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're trying to just kind of have it be like a free flow type of thing. Whoever wants to go on, if you have something you want to talk about, can be anything. Just go on. Last Monday, we didn't do that on purpose. We kind of overlapped a little bit, so we won't do that again. But yeah, and it was kind of the same thing too. We were both
we both ended up doing comic stuff. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, but definitely check that out Friday. And you said 9 o'clock.
Friday at 9. Yeah.
And you can find it on Facebook.com/experience the unity. Alrighty, let's go to Ricky Z. Muted.
So I was pretty quiet on this, and I guess it really all depends on personal preference as far as workplace romances. I personally would not feel comfortable with that. I have not experienced one, but just the idea of just the whole like idea of like shitting where you work type things. Or
that's the phrase. Like,
eat,
why is
like,
that the phrase?
I don't know why, but like it's I get it. But for me,
like, y'all don't shit at work. Y'all only shit at home.
Right. And then as far as like the current events that we talked about, like Gina Carano from The Mandalorian. I mean, look, you said what you wanted to say, and Disney was like, okay, cool, but that's not gonna roll for us.
Yeah.
Producers, and that it is what it is. Like, you're not gonna mess up their bag, so they're gonna mess up your bag. So, sorry about it, I guess. And Rush Limbaugh, tots and pears, I guess. Tots and pears. But yeah, I'm not even gonna speak ill of the dead like that. I'm not gonna do that. But he know what he did. And then what else did we talk about? Shit, we talked about a lot of stuff.
We did. We got a good show in.
We did. But yeah, it was a great show. I'm so glad to speak with y'all tonight. So thank you.
Excellent. You know you can always find Ricky every other Monday on Geeking Out. Ricky _Z is the IG. @_Ricky Z is the Twitter. $Ricky ZW is the Cash App. And we're accepting donations of any size for Ricky. Right. And Ricky is always spelled with an EY. All right.
If you want to follow me on Twitter and hear me talk about like geeky things, please do. Follow
all
me
the time, especially Vampire Diaries.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
All right. Next, let's go ahead and hear from Alex.
All right. Well, I just want to say, Duryea, thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Absolutely.
Sorry if I'm a bit of a chatterbox, but it's just like, let's just say, like, when it comes to panels, I tend to talk quite a bit. So I'm sorry if I took up a lot of people's time, so I'll just put that out there right there.
Yeah, Sam looks pissed.
Well, anyway, you can find my podcast on Spotify. Just look for the Alex Kirsch Project. But my main podcast is called Death of Perspective. You can find it on Audible. You can find it on Libsyn. You can find it on Google Podcasts. And like I said, my main focus is talking about social issues across here in the United States and abroad. I just want to say this was a good panel. I feel like everybody got along very well. Everybody got their chance to speak. Tristan, you cracked me up, dude. I'm sorry, dude. There was quite a few times like when you were getting like really close to the camera. I just couldn't help but laugh, dude. I mean, that's just like some serious fire in there, my dude.
Not the snap and the twirl. I can't.
That cracks me up, though. I can't help it. So, but anyway, I just want to thank everybody for giving me the chance to be on this panel, and hopefully I can come again about this panel. And look forward to talking with y'all again. Thank you.
Absolutely. That was Alex Kirsch.
That's me. All day, every day.
You can find Alex on Instagram at the A Kirsch Proj, which is TheAKirschProj. TikTok at N7Smoke27. And the podcast, once again, is Depth of Perspective, where the truth has no bias.
That's right.
All right, next, let's go ahead and hear from Tristan.
This was lovely. I drank tonight, so I apologize if I was doing too much.
Turn.
That brown liquor be hitting.
Turn. You act like you're so old. Brown liquor.
I drink brown liquor. I'm genuinely. I love love. I think people should find love wherever they can find it. If you find it in the workplace, that's cool. If you find it at church, that's cool. If you find it in the aisle of Publix, that's cool too. Don't miss out on your chance to find love wherever it may come. That's it.
Oh, that's so sweet. But not if it's at the workplace. I'm just playing. That's Tristan. You can find Tristan on Instagram and Twitter at Tristan Daniels, TristanDaniels. You can also find Tristan on a podcast coming to you. Me, Tristan, and Mo are doing a pop culture podcast, which will feature everything in music, current events, celebrity gossip, reality TV. It's going to be incredibly
all
ratchet,
the things.
and I'm so excited. All right, let's round it out with Miss Zaborowski. Or is it Mrs.? It's Mrs., right?
I think it's Mrs. these days.
Yeah, Mrs. Zaborowski.
Well, I feel like I'm at work all the time, and I only talk to the same people every day.
Right.
For the past, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. So it was really nice to talk to you guys. You know, talking to different people is great, keeping my brain juices flowing. I think the best part of this whole thing for me was just like the reiteration of how even if you're not a hateful person, what you say matters, no matter how small that you think it is. I've been trying in everything I do, every email I send, to just try and be as inclusive as possible and setting examples even for older people that just don't get it, how sensitive we are. So that was the biggest takeaway for me, and it's just really nice to just like see different people that I don't talk to all the time that reassure me that I'm not, it's
Crazy.
not all for naught. So that was really nice. Thanks, everybody.
Is Eddie nearby?
Eddie is. Do you want to say hi to Jim?
You know Eddie off camera. Eddie loves sound. Let me tell you something about Eddie. He loves some sound, so he off camera just smiling the whole time.
Hey!
There he is.
Pandemic hair.
Look at his hair though. Eddie, me too though. Mine is in a bun right now, but you know, Eddie, whatever. Don't do me because mine is that long too. I will whip this head. You know I will. Look, that's literally the only reason I grew my hair, so I can whip it around. All right. So that was Sam. You can find Sam on Instagram at SammyJoe913. All right. So before I say my final thoughts, I want to thank my entire panel. We had such a great time. Kovia had some issues with her connection because of the weather. But plus she was working. Y'all saw she was hustling hard. Okay, get that coins. Okay. So besides that, I want to thank also everyone who watched, whether you were watching us the whole time, whether you watched for a minute or whether you came in. We had some great views. We had some great comments. You understand that you are the ones who make this show what it is. You are just as important as the panel. If you would like to be a panelist, hit us up at admin@wonellymedia.com or hit me up on Facebook if we're Facebook friends. Also, remember to head over to our YouTube page. And if you are there, go ahead and click that like button, give us a comment, let us know how we did, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you are notified whenever we get new comments. And whenever we upload new videos and new content. Also, make sure you check back for us March the 3rd. We're going to be having our 24-hour live stream. You will absolutely see some of the faces you see up here. It's going to be incredibly fun. We're going to have fun. We'll be here all day. We have all types of events signed up for you. Come, hang out, donate, because that's the point. The donations will be going toward us and a charity. The point of donating for us is we are planning on filming our first project. We wrote a web series called Flirting with Destiny. And it's like sci-fi supernatural and also a dating show, kind of like not the dating show, but it's about dating in the city.
Come through,
and
King. Yes.
Yes. We're going to be shooting the first episode this summer, and we want to use the funds to make that happen. So help us with that. Okay. So my final thoughts for this evening are essentially I want to piggyback on something everybody said. Like, really? Yeah. Like, think about what you say. I am not always great with the thing. I post literally left and right all day if you're my friend. But if you post something problematic, it's okay if someone points that out. You posted something problematic. Someone points it out that you posted it. It's okay to take it down. It's okay to say, oh, I posted something problematic. Oops. It doesn't mean that you're not an ally. It doesn't mean that you're not trying to be a positive person, but you because you're stuck in this mindset that, oh, I'm an ally, I can do no wrong. That is problematic because then you are creating the things that you don't want to create and that you talk about not creating. So when it comes to trans issues, when it comes to any types of issues, when you're questioning a person's lifestyle in a way that takes away safe spaces for them, in an effort to, and then you justify it in saying that you have a right to do so just because you don't believe in what they believe in, spreading hate because of your religion is still spreading hate. I'm so sorry. That's exactly what it is. If you don't agree with something somebody does, that's fine. There's plenty of stuff I don't agree with that I don't feel like I need to get on the internet and talk about. Find a way to rectify within your to rectify within yourself how to live with people living their lives, whether you agree with it or not, if they're not hurting anybody, and just let them live without feeling the need to shout it to the rooftop that hey, by the way, even though I don't hate y'all, I hate what you're doing, but that's okay because I'm Christian. No, boo, it's not. So that's part of that I wanted to say. The other part of workplace romances, like, it's all a bundle of things, but in an essence, think about how your actions affect everyone and how your actions will have a long-lasting impact on you. Your workplace performance will be compromised if you're in the space with someone you love because you don't feel the same way you feel about someone you love all the time. Sam, don't get fooled by Sam and Eddie because they ain't never had no argument. That's rare, okay? Boo, that's rare. Don't think, oh, well, I'm going to be like Sam and Eddie. No, boo, you're not. You're not going to be like Sam and Eddie. It's not going to happen, okay?
Oh, my God.
You will be like motherfucking, I'm not going to say that, but you won't be like Sam and Eddie. So consider how your actions will affect other people and the people around you, and then adjust accordingly. Spread love, everybody. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Talk It Out, a space where people of opposing views can get together and have a healthy, productive dialogue in a respectful way, keeping in mind that it's not always about proving who's right and who's wrong. Sometimes it's simply about listening and being heard. Have a good night. Ooh, I almost pressed the wrong button.